items. Item number 13, we will, there are no comment cards on item 13. We will deny appeal on consent as much as the appeal has been withdrawn. Any objection to that? No objection. Item number 14, there are no comment cards, and we will deny the appeal in as much as the appeal has been withdrawn. Any objections? See no objections, so ordered. Item number 9, we will continue to November 28th. Item 9, continue to November 28th. Item number 10, continued to November 28th as well. Item number 12, continued to November 28th as well. Okay. Item number 1, it's a report from the Director of Planning, Mr. Vince Bartoni. Welcome, Mr. Bartoni.
Thank you, Chair Weezer and members of the committee. A few things. The city's in the process of preparing transit neighborhood plans for stations along both the Orange Line and Purple Line from Metro. So we have been recently engaging with the community. We had 2 open houses this last week, one for the Orange Line transit neighborhood plan in the Van Nuys City Hall, as well as one for the Purple Line transit neighborhood plan in West LA. These have been funded through grants from Metro, the Metropolitan Transit Authority, in ways so that we can really encourage vibrant communities and employment hubs around the region's growing transit network. And so we're really excited as this is an opportunity to really create places for people, active places where people can walk and achieve our objectives in terms of reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So we're very excited about that. We are encouraging everyone to participate in the program. Secondly, our Survey LA program, which was our comprehensive survey of historic resource or potential historic resources in the city, received the 2017 Richard H. Dreyfus Foundation National Preservation Award. And this is the highest award that's given by the National Trust for Historic Preservation. It was only one of 3 awards awarded nationally regarding this. And we had 2 of our staffers there to receive the award, Ken Bernstein and Janet Hansen from our Office of Historic Resources. And with that, I conclude my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Bertoni? Seeing none, we will receive and file the report. And thank you very much, Mr. Bertoni, for your report. Item number 5, if we could call this to order, please, Mr. Mejia. We've been joined by Mr. Egmenter, for the record.
Item 5, council members, is a City Planning Commission report relative to amendments to the South LA Community Plan and associated updates, as well as the recommendation to implement the overlay district for the area.
Great. Thank you very much.
CEQA findings.
Thank you very much. Mr. Harris Dawson, do you wish to get a presentation, or do you want to have some opening comments, or how would you like to proceed?
I would love to get the presentation first and then hear comments.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, Council Committee members. Ruben Caldwell with the Department of City Planning. We greatly appreciate the opportunity to present for your consideration today the South and Southeast Los Angeles Community Plans. Last updated nearly 20 years ago, these 2 plans will provide the much-needed land use policy and critical implementation as part of a comprehensive program to improve the quality of life for the well over 500,000 Angelinos. 1
second, please. 1 second. For those of you speaking in the back, if you could either keep your voices down or move your conversations outside to the hallway so that everyone could listen and have an opportunity to hear the presentation. Secondly, if you wish to submit a public comment card to speak on any item, you need to submit that card before the item is called. Once the item is called, the ability to submit a public comment card has been closed. So any items that you wish to speak on, please submit them before the item has been called. Well, thank you.
Also, thank you, Mr. Chair, for that admonition. I think lots of folks are going to have comments, and sometimes their comments are addressed in the presentation. So we'd ask, especially those who intend to speak, to pay close attention to the presentation. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Encompassing 30 square miles of the city, These two community plans together provide development capacity for an additional 25,000 housing units, accommodating as many as 80,000 new residents. The department is very proud to bring these two plans forward for adoption, as this marks a significant milestone in the city's effort to update all 35 community plans within the next several years. Now, as described on the agenda for today's meeting, we request that the two plans be presented and considered separately today, and that the EIR, which is a combined EIR prepared for both plans, be considered with the South Los Angeles Community Plan. Today, I am also joined by members of our South LA project team, Connie Pellini-Tipton at the end, our senior city planner, and Melissa Alafatuli, the South Los Angeles Community Plan project manager. I'd also like to recognize Jessica Alvarado and Torika Jones and former project staff members Griselda Gonzalez and Faisal Roble. So at this time, Melissa Alafatuli, the project manager, will present a brief summary of the South LA Community Plan update.
Thank you, Ruben. Good afternoon, Council Committee members. Melissa Alafatuli with the Department of City Planning. The South Los Angeles Community Plan update before you today represents a comprehensive update to the current South Los Angeles Community Plan, last adopted in 2000. The plan is a product of extensive public outreach and will act as a blueprint to guide growth and development in the community for the next 2 decades. We have carefully considered projected population increases, and the plan creates capacity to build over 15,000 new housing units for more than 43,000 people over the life of the plan, by thoughtfully directing new growth in South LA towards transit corridors while preserving lower-scale residential neighborhoods. The Community Plan update consists of updates to the Community Plan policy document, targeted updates to general plan land use designations and zoning, and the new South Los Angeles Community Plan Implementation Overlay District, or CPIO, which is a new zoning tool tailored to the South LA community. Covering over 15 square miles in the heart of Los Angeles, from Pico Boulevard south past the 105 freeway and from Figueroa Street to Arlington Avenue, the South LA Community Plan area is home to over 270,000 people, more than the cities of Pasadena and Burbank combined. The plan area is also home to 10 neighborhood councils and is represented by 5 council districts. It is a community that boasts numerous assets, a vibrant population, charming homes, intact historic neighborhoods, major cultural institutions, an extensive transit network, and proximity to downtown, to name a few. However, South LA continues to face serious challenges, particularly the need for economic reinvestment. This new community plan for South Los Angeles has been drafted in partnership with the community. It sets forth a long-range vision for land use and appropriate growth and development in South LA, and includes the CPIO, the zoning tool necessary to implement that vision upon adoption. The Community Plan Vision Statement, which was succinctly crafted by the South LA Community Plan Advisory Committee, is the foundation of the updated plan. It states, South Los Angeles is a diverse community that embraces its history, fosters sustainable neighborhoods, and promotes economic viability for everyone. Through policies in the CPIO, this plan seeks to address many of the long-standing issues facing South Los Angeles, while simultaneously building upon and celebrating the community's many strengths. The fundamental goals and policies of the plan seek to revitalize the area's commercial corridors, foster thriving transit centers, promote opportunities for housing, particularly affordable and mixed-income housing, address residential industrial land use conflicts, and preserve lower-scale and historic residential neighborhoods. Because South LA is home to some of the city's oldest neighborhoods, great care has been taken to ensure these changes occur in a manner that is respectful of historic development patterns. The plan also takes additional steps to protect identified historic resources and neighborhoods that are not currently protected. The primary goal of the plan is to realize that vision of a diverse, sustainable, and economically viable South Los Angeles for current and future generations of South Angelinos. The CPIO is the catalytic zoning tool that will help realize the community's vision and implement many of the goals and policies of the community plan. As shown on the map, the CPIO covers all commercial corridors and industrial areas in the plan area, as well as select residential neighborhoods. All new projects within the CPIO's hierarchy of subareas will be subject to the CPIO regulations. in order to foster a diversity of goods and services along the commercial corridors and improve the architectural quality of new development, the CPIO restricts uses that the community has identified are undesirable or overconcentrated, incentivizes needed uses like affordable housing, and includes design and development standards for all new projects. Some uses will be restricted, such as new liquor stores, motels, auto-related uses, drive-through restaurants, and payday lenders and check cashing facilities. Other targeted commercial uses are encouraged, including grocery stores, sit-down restaurants, health centers, banks, and childcare. In response to the city's affordable housing crisis, in the TOD subareas, significant density, height, and floor area incentives will be offered to projects that include a minimum percentage of affordable units. Development and design standards in the CPIO will upgrade the aesthetic quality of new development and will require pedestrian-friendly design for new development in commercial and industrial areas. Transitional height requirements will ensure that new development along the corridors transitions in scale and height down to lower density residential neighborhoods. In addition, the CPIO protects eligible historic resources identified by Survey LA. Of note is the Character Residential CPIO subarea, which will serve in a sense as an HPOZ light to protect the identified historic districts in the plan area, including Vermont Knolls, shown above. In general, the CPIO regulations give the policies of the community plan teeth by calling for quality new development, better design, and a variety of uses, and by directing new jobs and housing to transit areas that can best support growth. This is truly a plan crafted by the people of South LA. We have held more than 200 meetings in English and Spanish with residents, business owners, and other community stakeholders. We've met with all of the neighborhood councils, the CRA CACs, community organizations, faith-based groups, council offices, agencies, and other city departments. We are incredibly grateful to everyone who has taken the time to be involved in this process. In particular, we'd like to thank the members of the South Los Angeles Community Plan Advisory Committee, or CPAC, a group of dedicated community representatives who volunteered their time over several years to help develop the goals and policies of the plan. We would also like to thank the members of the Unidad Coalition, many of whom are here today, for their work on the People's Plan, which included specific recommendations to the community plan. We have incorporated a majority of their recommendations into the policy document and CPIO presented to you here today. We are also grateful for local faith-based organizations, including the area's historic churches, for their involvement in the process. We have addressed many of their zoning concerns with the plan update and look forward to continued collaboration with them through future work programs. Input from this wide range of stakeholders helps move our community and our city forward. To summarize, the South Los Angeles Community Plan will improve the quality of life in a large part of the city that has endured years of disinvestment by revitalizing commercial corridors, directing growth towards thriving transit centers, incentivizing the provision of additional housing, addressing industrial residential land use conflicts, preserving lower density residential neighborhoods, and protecting historic resources. Again, I'd like to thank the many groups and individuals involved in this process for their continued support and patience in developing and bringing this community plan to completion. Muchas gracias a todos y todas que han participado en la actualización del Plan Comunitario del Sur de Los Ángeles por su apoyo y paciencia en este proceso. Thank you.
And thank you, Melissa. And that concludes our presentation of the South Los Angeles Community Plan. And as Melissa stated, we'd like to thank the committee members and all who have participated in the development of this plan.
Great. Thank you very much. So now we will turn to public comment. Laura Hill from Councilmember Buscaino's office. Do you wish to speak now or at the end of the public comment? Right now's fine. Yeah, okay. Didn't know if you had a preference.
Thank you. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Laura Hill. I'm representing the Office of Councilman Joe Buscaino in Council District 15. I'm here today to express our enthusiastic support for the Southeast Los Angeles Community Plan. The portion of the plan that falls within our district includes the entire community of Watts and a small northern section of the Harbor Gateway. We would like to commend planning staff for crafting a plan for Southeast LA that is both thoughtful and thorough. thoughtful in its larger vision for the future of this area at the heart of the LA region, and thorough in its attention to detail about how to achieve that vision. The plan makes clear that the way forward is to attract more positive development and incentivizes a mix of market and affordable housing as well as neighborhood amenities such as grocery stores, pharmacies, banks, and sit-down restaurants. The plan also addresses how we can prevent some of the negative land use patterns of the past and ensures more effective transitional land uses between residential, commercial, and industrial sections of the community. While we know it is beyond the power of this document to specifically induce these needed neighborhood amenities, even small steps can make a big difference. And there is already a lot going on in our corner of South LA. In Watts, we are in the middle of construction on a brand new urban village in the Jordan Downs project area that will bring a mix of income levels and double the number of units available without displacing current residents, as well as improve quality of life with a grocery store, coffee shop, a gym, and a restaurant. Additionally, Kaiser is building an expanded new facility to provide medical services to even more Watts residents, and the city is investing millions of dollars in infrastructure improvements to key Watts corridors, like Century Boulevard, Central Avenue, and our new Great Street on Wilmington Avenue. With the community plan before us today, we will be able to continue to achieve our goal to foster safer, healthier, and more prosperous communities. I just want to conclude today by thanking the key planning staff for their time and dedication over many years of hard work. In particular, Ruben Caldwell, Marie Cobian, Connie Polini-Tipton, and Craig Weber. Thank you all for your time today.
Thank you. I will next call 3 people at a time. Each person has 1 minute to speak. Pastor John Cager.
Something you think I should ask?
Gene Frost. Daniel Wright.
Good afternoon. I'm Pastor John Cager. I'm the president of the Los Angeles Council of Religious Leaders and pastor of Ward AME Church. I want to say thank you to the planning department for taking the time with the assistance of Council Districts 8 and 9 to come and meet with the faith community to lay out their plans both now and in the future for responsible, measured development and planning in South and Southeast Los Angeles. As we all know, it is an area that is economically devastated, and by following the plan that they have taken the time to craft with the aid of the community, we are standing on tiptoes in anticipation of South Los Angeles becoming a mecca in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you. Can staff sitting in the middle here, can you move just to the side so I could see the clock as it expires? I know people's time. Thank you. Gene Frost, Daniel Wright.
Does the Neighborhood Council also get 1 minute question?
Did the Neighborhood Council submit a impact statement?
CIS, yes, we did.
We did. Is it on file?
Oh, we don't have a CIS on file at this time.
Okay. We would need that on file to assure that that is the voice of the Neighborhood Council. Otherwise, individuals
We did
become...
submit it, and I have an email, which I did not bring to that effect. But in any event,
Okay. Sorry about that.
that's okay. You will see our comments, the North End Area Neighborhood Development Council. It's a pleasure to be here in supporting most of what is in the South Community Plan, and I'd like to thank Melissa Alafatuli and Craig Weber for their responsiveness to many items. One thing we would like to see is a mechanism so that CPIOs can be a living thing that takes on a process to create more CPIOs, and our particular concern is the area that is west of USC, called Expo Park West and the Old University District, which is currently being decimated by inappropriate development, and long-term residents are being driven out by just the forces of development around the University of Southern California. Overall, we are pleased with the plan. We also saw some responsiveness where we felt heights were excessive. And I'd like to thank planning for their proactiveness and responsiveness, and I urge the support of it with that one caveat.
Thank you. Daniel Wright, Cynthia Schathman, Steinman, Benjamin Torres, Ishmael Marcus, all good.
More population than the census, is that the idea?
Welcome.
Daniel Wright of the Silver Seed Law Firm on behalf of South LA and Southeast LA stakeholders. Let the record reflect that prior to the calling of this meeting, We have submitted a objection letter with exhibits for the record. We are concerned that the update before you will actually harm the community by frustrating economic development, making job creation harder, and hurting small and mom-and-pop businesses. An LA Times editorial today agrees that development of new projects with retail, sit-down restaurants, banks, and public space plazas for the community are essential. Yet, in Councilmember Harris Dawson's own district at Vermont and Manchester, a 2-block-long project that is ready to move forward and which would bring all of those services to the community is being threatened with eminent domain action by the county as we speak here. This is a
This
problem
is not on topic.
Thank you.
within the South LA area.
Thank you very much.
Can I give you a concluding sentence, council member?
Sure.
Okay.
As long as it's on topic.
Our firm successfully litigated the Hollywood Community Plan lawsuit, and we ask that you look carefully at the exhibits exhibited today because many of the same flaws are here before you in this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello. My name is Cynthia Strathman. I'm Executive Director at Strategic Actions for a Just Economy. We're here with the United Neighbors in Defense Against Displacement Coalition. And this is part of our 10-year campaign for equitable development in South LA. Together we've developed the People's Plan, which is based on thousands of hours of work by community members. The Mayor's Office and his City Planning Commission have built into the current drafts 75% of what's in the People's Plan, and we're here to support those elements of the People's Plan that have been incorporated and to encourage the incorporation of more equity measures so that we know that the city is committing to doing all that they can to prevent the displacement of families and small businesses in South LA. We also want to take a moment to celebrate how much these plans are accomplishing and the huge efforts that have gone into creating them. These plans represent an enormous amount of work by the Mayor's Office, by the Planning Department, by the City Planning Commission, and by the council members and staffs of Districts 9, 8, 14, 1, and 15 who have devoted time and thought and attention and effort so that South LA can encourage both development and equity.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Benjamin Torres. I'm the President and CEO of CD Tech and a proud member of the Unidad Coalition. It is a coalition. We have many organizations that make up the coalition. Over 50 South Central Los Angeles residents, business owners, students, workers, and partners are here today to represent the thousands of people who contributed to the vision that is built into what we call the People's Plan. For 10 years, as many of the staff could tell you, we've been in meetings with them for 10 years. We worked with neighbors and schools and in community centers and parks and health centers to develop a collective set of principles for equitable development in South LA and the Southeast LA area of the city. We asked that Plum Committee take all our recommendations and incorporate them in what we think is an important part of the People's Plan and the community plans going forward. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Ishmael Marcus Allgood, Doug Smith, Eric Velasquez, and Nolwen Cifuentes.
Hello. My name is Ishmael Marcus Allgood, and I live in District 8. I support the People's Plan. Because of the Ellis Act, landlords have the unconditional right to evict tenants, the shutting down small businesses, evicting old ladies, single mothers, working class folks, and low-income folks to build these nice, expensive condos. That ain't right. In South LA, 1,150 people have been displaced in CD8 and CD9. And currently, the draft community plans are silent on the issues of residential demolitions. Given the significant impacts of residential demolitions, the plan should implement regulations to address the harm and displacement of everyday citizens. Therefore, if the vacancy rate in the community plan area falls to 5% or less, applicants for demolition should be placed on a waiting list to such time that the vacancy rate is greater than 5% at all times. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Doug Smith. I'm an attorney at Public Counsel. Earlier this year, we endured a very bitter debate over land use planning and housing policy as the voters considered Measure S. Many of us who opposed Measure S as the wrong answer also recognize the real need to update our planning and development rules to be more inclusive and equitable. Across the board, community plans were identified as a crucial part of this path forward, and the South and Southeast LA community plans are a big step in the right direction. So we want to thank the department for years of incredible work. We also want to maximize this opportunity, and so we wish to draw your attention to one important issue. We strongly support policies to increase affordable and mixed-income housing near transit. The CPIO's attempt to achieve this objective through a two-tier approach, where parcels are given a base density and then a higher bonus density for projects that provide affordable units. However, if you set the base FAR too high, then you could actually reduce the incentive to use the upzone option, and we may unintentionally miss out on this opportunity to increase density and affordability. So we encourage you to set the base at 1.5 to encourage and to provide easily attainable incentives to reach the higher density with affordability. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Nolwen Cifuentes. I'm here with SAGE to support the People's Plan. I previously lived in a low-income building in South Los Angeles. My neighbors who had lived there 40 years were harassed by property managers. Problems such as bed bugs or mold went ignored by landlords. I saw families of 5 or more living in one-bedroom homes. I grew up in a working-class immigrant family, and I came to Los Angeles to follow my dreams of becoming a photographer. I see these children in such low-quality living conditions, and I think of all the creative voices that don't have a chance to use the great opportunities in this city. I believe that housing comes first, and without protections to and productions of affordable housing, low-income families lose, and our city loses. I believe that developers need stronger regulations, specifically a low FAR. Money made by development in our city needs to go back to the people of our city. That is why I demand the People's Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Velasquez, Robin Line, Yvette Nunez, Lorena Ventura.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric with SAGE. I've been a member of the South LA community for over 20 years, and it has recently come to our attention that there are talks about increasing the floor area ratio to 3. This is not a good idea. By setting the base to 3, that will undermine, if not destroy, all affordable housing incentives, and therefore reduce the likelihood that new projects will actually provide any affordable housing. In this day and age, we need all the affordable housing we can get. This is not about people having a roof over their head, it's about people's future. Housing affects every aspect of people's lives. So therefore, I'm here to support the People's Plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Robin Line. I feel we're in a very serious crisis in the city right now, and making sure we have decent, affordable places to live is very important to me. The People's Plan supports livable and healthy communities. My concern is our air quality and the protection of our environment. For 17 years in a row, Los Angeles air quality has ranked #1 as the deadliest in the nation, causing diseases, cardiovascular harm, respiratory diseases, cancer. I only have a minute. South Central air quality is the second deadliest in Los Angeles. And as per Mayor Garcetti's Sustainable City Plan, 3,600 people die prematurely each year from poor air quality and particle matter. So the time is now to please educate, inform, inspire, and partner with your constituents, same as you would when running for elected position. Let the people know we're holding you accountable and to the fire, and ask you to implement this the right way, beginning with the People's Plan. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm Yvette Nunez of CD Tech and Unidad. For generations, South LA small businesses have invested and provided goods and services that reflect the ethnic and economic needs of neighborhood residents. Over the years, we have gotten to know these businesses one-on-one by walking the streets, listening to their needs, learning about their strong connection to community, and about the many challenges they face. They provide local jobs and social and cultural capital to South LA, even though they are historically under-resourced and at high risk of displacement. They operate without leases and unexpected rent increases, are watching the influx of new development, experiencing economic strain of franchises moving in, and a changing customer base due to residents and businesses being pushed out. The People's Plan recommendations were developed with their voice. Many could not leave their shops today, but 40 of them signed a petition we submitted to you in support of the recommendations that ensures South LA's existing and future business owners have a chance to thrive. We ask you to stand with the local business community and support all of the business recommendations and the People's Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Lorena Ventura, Flora Martinez, Pedro Martinez, Stephen Love II. Welcome.
Good afternoon. I am Lorena, member of the Unidad Coalition. Due to an emergency, I was asked by a business owner to share her remarks. My name is Maria Aguilar. I have been a South LA resident for over 45 years. I own Eddie's Mini Market located on Main and 22nd and have served my community for over 17 years, and I support the People's Plan. I am one of the voices heard when developing this plan. I have seen many changes in my community, businesses leaving and my customer base changing due to the gentrification that is happening in South LA. The People's Plan addresses the needs of my business. It creates protections and opportunities on important issues like leases, affordable spaces, and more resources for local small businesses. This is why these recommendations are so important and necessary for my long-term survival. I ask that you not ignore those of us who have invested in our community and stand with the People's Plan. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stephen Love. I'm a resident of Los Angeles. I've lived in City 9 for over 28 years. I work with City Tech, and I'm here with the Unidad Coalition. The People Plan called for local hiring to expand and include local workers also face multiple barriers in employment, including our veterans, homeless members, and our community folks. We're formerly incarcerated and emancipated foster youth, among others. We also call for the Prior Tours and Job Program for local and disadvantaged workers. We call on the City Council to stand with the People's Plan and keep these elements in the community plans, because the job creation is a real issue that we face, and the People's Plan helps with that issue by local hiring goals, investing in training, and everything that we need. So hope y'all support the People's Plan and endorse all the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Flora Martinez, Pedro Martinez not here? Okay, not here. Maria Patiño, Miguel Paredes, Orino Opinaldo.
Hi, my name is Maria Patiño, and I'm with SAGE, Strategic Actions for a Just Economy, and I'm the jobs coordinator for SAGE. And as such, I realize the importance of making sure that there are local jobs for local people, which is why we stand with the People's Plan, and we call on the City Council to stand with us to keep the elements that have already been introduced in the community plans. We call for hiring to be expanded to include local workers who face multiple barriers to employment, including the veterans, homeless members of our community, and folks who were formerly incarcerated and emancipated foster care youth, among others. We also call for the prioritizing of job training programs for local and disadvantaged workers, which we have seen that is very important to include in the community plans. So again, we calling you to stand with the community plans and to support the People's Plan. Thank you.
Blessings. I, Orino Opinaldo of SAGE, ACE, Feel the Burn Democratic Party, all support the People's Plan. We are glad you accepted 75%. The People's Plan has been created by men, women, students, religious leaders for 10 years regarding displacement, homelessness due to no affordable housing and no affordable rents. We want equitable development benefiting small businesses where there are no predatory loans. We need green space and safe air quality to help people be healthier. In the 24th century, my immigrant church lost 5,000 families. We asked to end the Ellis Act that has displaced another 1,150 families. Also accept the demolition piece of the consuls, 75% of the People's Plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Miguel Paredes, and I'm the Director of Community Organizing for St. John's Well Child and Family Center. And I'd like for the folks who came with us to please stand up who support the People's Plan. We are here with the Unidad Coalition in support of the People's Plan. St. John's Well Child and Family Center is a federally qualified health center. We are the largest healthcare provider in South Los Angeles for undocumented people in the county through the My Health LA program. We're the largest provider for homeless services in the country, and we also have the largest transgender program in the entire nation. And we're here as a FQHC to support the People's Plan, and we're also very grateful that the FQHC was also included as part of the People's Plan to provide incentives for people to be able to take care of their health. So we want to urge the members of this committee as well as the City Council to support and pass the People's Plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalina Hernandez, Debbie Alvarez, and Jeffrey Hampton.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Rosalina Hernández.
Un momento. Is there, do we have translation services here? Whoa. That's not good. We should have known that we were going to have Spanish speakers here today.
There was no translation ordered for this meeting, sir.
No? Okay.
I'll interpret for her.
Okay, great. Thank you. Can you give her 2 minutes, please?
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Rosalina Hernández y llevo 20 años viviendo en el sur centro de Los Ángeles.
Good afternoon. My name is Rosalina Hernandez, and I've been living in South Central for 20 years.
Por favor, necesitamos que apoyen el plan del pueblo. Mi familia es de 6 personas, mi esposo y 4 hijos. Y apenas ayer en el edificio que vivo pusieron un letrero de desalojo para febrero.
So I'm here to urge you to support the People's Plan. I have a family of 6, my 4 children and my husband and I. And in our building, we just received a notice that we need to leave our building by February.
Y si nos desalojan, ¿a dónde nos vamos a ir a vivir? Mi esposo y mis 4 hijos.
If we are forced to leave, where are my 4 children and my husband and I supposed to go?
Si apenas podemos pagar con el trabajo de mi esposo donde vivimos, si nos mandan a otro lado o a dónde nos quieren mandar, ¿cómo nos pueden ayudar o a dónde nos van a mandar a vivir?
So we can barely afford to live where we live now on my husband's salary. Where do these people want us to go? Where are we supposed to go?
Si nosotros estamos luchando por un futuro por nuestros hijos, así no vamos a poder. Si tenemos que pagar más de renta, más de lo que podemos.
So if we're here to give our children a better future, how are we supposed to do this if we can be forced to pay more for rent?
Gracias.
Thank you. Gracias.
Hi, my name is Debbie Alvarez, and I live in South Central. We just received a notice on our building. The same lady that just was up here. Our building is going to be demolished. Exactly where are we going to go? I mean, we're going to be out of a home just the same as there's thousands of other peoples in South LA that are being displaced. This is wrong. If they're able to buy up all the property that's affordable and make it high-end, where are we going to go? Where are we going to live? Where are we going to move? We support the People's Plan. We need you to be able to stop these people from buying everything up, leave something for us. You're kicking the people that live in the community out. Where are we going to go? Where are we going to live? Thank you.
Thank you. Jeffrey Hampton, George Serrano, Kevin Solis, Onyx Moreno.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeffrey Hampton, and I'm a member of the Council 9 District. Also, I am intern at CD Tech. Everyday families and school children are being harmed by oil and gas extraction facilities that are spotted throughout South Los Angeles. Oil and gas extraction isn't just harmful to us as humans, it also has its effect on animals, environments, and communities. The air quality is bad enough as it is without the emissions being spewed from these large commercial vehicles. We are proud that the People's Plan was able to win its inclusion of prohibition against new oil and gas extractions. But we must continue to end exposure of harmful fumes from these facilities, and we also ask that the City Council stand with the People's Plan and preserve the prohibition of oil and gas extractions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's beautiful when we work together. My name is Georgina Serrano. I'm resident of the CDA, and I'm organized with the coalition for the past 10 years. And I organized because the people need homes, and People's Plan protect the first time to return as a tenant right. Now, developers have to include it to provide affordable housing for working families. Tenants invest and buildings when the slumlords do nothing for their community, but pulling the reins out of the communities and disinvestment. This is the word they're using in here. So People's Plan protect the working class families, and my asking today, with my gratitude for collaboration, to inclusion on the first time to return and the city plans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kevin. I'm here on behalf of CD Tech, on behalf of my community, South Central, to advocate for the People's Plan, to advocate for my people who have been working their fingers to the bone, my parents that have woken up at 6 in the morning, taking little breaks, work all the way until midnight just to pay for their rent. I wanted to make it clear that displacement is a serious issue in my community and in communities all over Los Angeles. I strongly believe the People's Plan should be endorsed. It's the least this city could do after all the oppression that has been happening to my people. That is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Onyx. I'm with the Unidad Coalition. I'm here to advocate for the People's Plan. Friends all around me are being displaced. It is critical that the community plans address how the Ellis Act has caused over 1,000 families to be evicted in these community plans. We need to be more considerate about the well-being of our local residents by including an annual cap on demolitions and condo conversions. Displacement does not only affect people physically, but also mentally and emotionally. We ask the council to support the People's Plan's recommendations because it would impact our community in a positive manner. Thank you.
Edna Monroy, Lucia Torres, Elana Eden, or Eden.
Hi, hello you all. I'm Edna Monroy, and I'm a longtime resident of South Central LA. South Central LA has been my home since 2001, and I'm part of District 8. I'm here in full support of the People's Plan for many reasons. The main reason why is because as community members living, working, growing up in and struggling in South Central LA, we don't have access to safe and healthy green areas where we can connect with community, build community, and also just have fun, right? Be ourselves, where children, teens, youth can be themselves, where we can connect with other community members struggling, being pushed out, right? Being criminalized by the police, and dealing with a lot of mental health issues, right? Environmental racism affects us in different ways, and one of them is by not having green areas where we can enjoy ourselves. So please, I urge you all to approve, support, and stand with South Central community and with the People's Plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lucia Torres. I support young adults in South Central Los Angeles through City Tech, and we stand with the Unidad Coalition as well. First and foremost, I wanted to thank city leaders and volunteers and residents who have worked very hard to incorporate aspects of the community-driven, the People's Plan proposal into the pending plans. However, much like any thriving ecosystem, a thriving community must also have complete and comprehensive holistic support systems. This also includes addressing issues such as predatory lending. We still need a prohibition on payday lenders, check cashing facilities along critical corridors that are within a quarter mile of a census tract, having a median household income below very low income for a two-person household. We need to regulate these things, and the People's Plan calls for a number of these changes. Payday lenders and check cashing facilities prey on families throughout South Central LA. Thank you.
Thank you. Ilana Eden here? No, not here. Ann Fox, Justin Manuel, Jonathan Ayon. You could go ahead if your name's been called. That's fine, yeah.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Justin Manuel with Trust South LA and also here with the Unidad Coalition. I want to thank y'all for y'all time today and also just stress the importance of the affordable housing piece. Affordable housing is actually something very needed in South Central Los Angeles, especially where I live in CD9. Right down the block from me on 79th, there's already 2 houses that have been demolished. And we don't know if those houses are going to be market rate or affordable. And on 78th, there's also a house that's been renovated, but the family has been displaced, and we don't know if it's affordable either. So because of that, we don't know if anybody else who lives in the neighborhood can even afford to stay there or to even have their kids like go to the school that's like right down the street. So basically, I'm here in support of the People's Plan, and I'm here to urge you to approve the affordable housing incentives to assure affordable housing for our folks in South Central. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexander Harden, Jonathan Jagger, Steve Diaz. Not here?
Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Yeager, and I'm here with the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on behalf of the Unidad Coalition. My comments are limited to the EIR process. We commend the incorporation of significant elements of the People's Plan, which was developed through years of community engagement. A key element is the inclusion of affordable housing incentives that act as required mitigation measures under CEQA. It is critical to the success of these incentives that the base density and CPIO sub-areas be maintained for residential and mixed-use properties. The plan's affordable housing incentives encourage the production of affordable housing by granting a developer increased density in exchange for certain set-aside of affordable units. Increased density allows the developer to benefit financially while increasing the affordable housing stock. If these base density is increased above 1.5 FAR in CPIO sub-areas, this will undermine the financial incentive, in turn disrupting the city's CEQA analysis. In other words, the city cannot rely on the affordable housing incentives to mitigate environmental impacts if they are not utilized by developers, which would be the practical impact of an increase in base density.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Diaz, and I'm with the Los Angeles Community Action Network, LA CAN. We're here today in support of the Unidad campaign and the People's Plan. We feel that the People's Plan can set a really great example for how development should be occurring in the city of Los Angeles, especially around the community plan updates as well, especially since we're waiting for an update in downtown ourselves. We definitely feel that the additional comments that are made must be included in order to make this a robust plan that actually incorporates the future of not just future rich people, but also poor people that live in South LA and have called South LA home for many years. We're looking at the People's Plan as an opportunity to also take into account a robust look at neighborhood development, right? Ending predatory lending, putting a cap on condo conversions, and most importantly, ending loopholes and public policies that make no sense but to people that are inside. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ann Fox. I grew up in the Central Valley, Fontana, California, and Riverside, California. Many of my friends lived under circumstances that many people today have brought up here. I grew up in a middle-class family, but I had ample opportunity to see how my friends grew up. We're living in strange times right now in this country. We need to show the people of Los Angeles and the people of this country that we're better than what we have right now. I stand with and for the People's Plan. Please stand with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexander, Joe Donlin, Maria Espinosa, Sandra Leyva. Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Alexander Harnden with the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles, and I'm here to speak on the EIR on behalf of Unidad. We're pleased to see the city has considered and included many People's Plan policies. These were born out of the community's experience and expertise and represent feasible measures to lessen the impacts of these plans while maximizing their benefits. However, several People's Plan policies which would mitigate displacement pressures and environmental impacts were not adopted, and we encourage their inclusion. Limiting demolitions and condo conversions would mitigate the severity of displacement pressures, as well as construction-related greenhouse gas, air quality, and noise impacts. Provisions to encourage stability and support for communities serving small businesses would protect the community from disruption and would reduce the likelihood that businesses and their employees are driven elsewhere by rising rents. Limitations on predatory payday lending would similarly buffer residents against displacement by increasing economic power and the ability to take advantage of the benefits promised by these plans. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Joe Donlin with SAGE, Strategic Actions for a Just Economy, and the Unidad Coalition, and we're here in support of the People's Plan. I just want to take another moment to thank all of the partners in the city family, the planning department, the council members of Council Districts 9, 8, 10, 14, and 15, all who have put a tremendous effort into these community plans. The Unidad Coalition has been at this with you all along the way for 10 years. And as our name suggests, United Neighbors in Defense Against Displacement, we really want to see the most powerful, the most equitable community plans that are possible. Very pleased with what we achieved at the Planning Commission. We ask that you stand with the People's Plan at this stage and really highlight the need to address those Ellis Act evictions. A couple of folks raised this. 1,150 families in the 2 community plan area have been displaced through the Ellis Act, and we have provisions in the People's Plan to address that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Hi, good afternoon.
My name is Maria Espinosa.
Her name is Maria Espinosa. Her name is Maria Espinosa. I will be translating for her.
Como representante de LAPD Moms y Mamás del Sur Central,
As a representative of LAPD Moms and Mamás del Sur Centro,
nosotras estamos de acuerdo del Plan del Sur Centro como está.
we are in support of the South Central Community Plan as is.
En nuestra comunidad necesitamos centros tránsitos donde podemos todos vivir.
In our community, we need transit centers where we could all live.
Tenemos muchos años en el área y hemos mirado los cambios.
We have many years in the area and we have seen changes.
Y hasta ahorita estamos mirando un cambio positivo.
Until today, we have seen positive changes.
con menos violencia y más oportunidades de trabajo para nuestros hijos.
with less violence and more opportunities of work for our children.
Tenemos que seguir peleando para más oportunidades de trabajo
We need to keep fighting for more opportunities for work
para nuestros hijos.
for our children.
Unir nuestras comunidades y no dividir simplemente si no estamos de acuerdo.
We have to unite our communities and not divide them just because we don't agree.
Más recursos y beneficios para programas
We need more resources and benefits for programs
alrededor que positivamente impactan a nuestros hijos para un futuro mejor.
something that will impact our children for a better future.
Nosotros, las mamás de LAPD y Sur Central, apoyamos su LA Plan y estamos muy satisfechas y orgullosamente apoyamos.
As the mom of LAPD and Mamas of South Central, we are here to support South LA Community Plan.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Sandra. As a resident of the neighborhood, I am in support of South Los Angeles Community Plan, not only for my family, but for all the families in South Los Angeles, in which I am proud to call home. A plan that will bring vibrant and attractive transit centers, new affordable housing opportunities, ensure new projects in our area with high quality and designs. And most importantly, how plans will assist low-income houses like myself and the group I represent, Mamas del Sur Centro. We support the South LA Community Plan and its benefits. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, City Hall. My name is Daryl Barnett, and I'm a born-again Christian.
I'm sorry, I haven't called your name, sir. Yeah, you have to wait until I call your name. And did you fill out a card to speak? Okay. Okay, thank you. If you could just wait then. Sergio Juarez, Jesse de la Cruz, Jacqueline DuPont Walker. Okay, thank you. Sergio Juarez, Jesse de la Cruz, Laura Myers, Stephanie Audrey, and Robert Rubin. Not here? Oh, okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Ardrey. I'm with Blue Diamond Capital, but I served on South Los Angeles Community Advisory Committee. I would ask of the council to please support and adopt the community plan. The reasons being, the committee, we spent almost 10 years working on a plan that we hope will help to guide the direction of development for the next decade and really the future of the community. But in doing so, we made sure that we took a holistic approach to developing a plan where people would be able to live, work, and play. So we included over 200 meetings with various representatives of the community. There were times that as a committee we began to feel exhausted, but we stayed the course to get this plan completed and to have it reflect the community as a whole from a holistic perspective. And so we hope that the council will adopt and support the plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Laura Myers. I'm told you called me, but I was out in the hallway.
Yes, we did.
Thank you. I'm the land use chair for United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council, no CIS. We thank planning staff for working so hard to accommodate all of our requests. Our vision for United Neighborhoods, which is in the northwest corner of this plan, is to preserve and conserve our character neighborhoods while providing new housing on the corridors and neighborhoods serving retail, lively economic development, and we think this plan does do that. and they made the changes that we asked for. I've heard speakers earlier today ask for fluidity about being able to establish new CPIOs as time goes on. I think that's a really good idea. And while I'm not sure what pieces of the 75% proposed People's Plan versus 25%, if there are aspects of that that could be adopted citywide later, that's great, but we urge you to vote yes today on the plan as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Robert Rubin, and I actually chaired the South LA plan for the last 10 years and read the plan line by line. We dealt with issues. When we first started, we didn't have smoke shops and marijuana dispensaries and things of that nature. We talked about commercial land use, and we talked about manufacturing areas. We talked about preserving affordable housing and communities. We talked about the CPIs and overlays, and we talked about making sure that we had green space, transportation nodes, and I think we did the best we could with the plan that we had. And it took us 10 years, and I think we're at another 10 years. We're going to have to find people 20 years younger than me to try to sit through the next one. However, I think this is the best plan we have that we could push forward. And distinguished gentlemen and council, I believe if you move on this action, will hold us accountable for the next 10 years. And I want to thank my planning staff as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes public comment. I do want to say that las personas que necesiten los audiofonos para oír en inglés lo que está pasando aquí, pueden ir allá atrás. Who has the audiophones in the back? La persona que ahí si necesita audiofonos, vamos a trasladar la junta en español a inglés. Gracias. Mr. Harris Dawson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I'd like to give the opportunity.
Sir,
Chair, I'm being
one second.
I'm trying to
Herman,
conduct
Mr.
business
Herman.
of the city,
Hold
and
on,
I'm being interrupted.
Hold on, Mr. Harris Dawson. Herman, you come to every meeting here and you disrupt it. I'm asking our Sergeant at Arms to please escort you out of the meeting at this time.
Continues to yell as he's being walked out of the building.
Mr. Harris Dawson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I'd like to begin by just giving our panel of staff to take the opportunity to address any specific things that you wanted to in the very robust and lengthy public comment that we had. I saw all of you taking furious notes. So if there are any headlines that you want to point out, I'd ask you to do that at this moment.
This is Connie Polini-Tipton, and I would like to address the comments of the speakers today on the People's Plan. So again, we've thanked Unidad and the coalitions for their continued involvement in crafting these community plans. So what I just want to clarify for the public who's here, and as well as the committee members, that the People's Plan is reflected in the community plan before you. So the policies on affordable housing, on displacement, on tenants' right of return, on condo conversions, those concepts have been incorporated into the plan. And on the topics that we were not able to incorporate word for word from the People's Plan, we did our best to integrate those topics elsewhere as policies or as follow-up programs. And the items in particular that were brought up. So I just want to highlight for everyone in the room, the People's Plan topics, a dozen topics on on aligning the CPIO, the Community Plan Implementation Overlay, with the TOC. We did that. Did we address no net loss program? We did that. We incorporated tenants' rights. Minimizing demolitions and condo conversions, we addressed that. Supporting local leadership and implementation of these plans, providing provisions for surplus land for affordable housing, we did those things. We also incorporated policies for business development, employment opportunities, small business opportunities. Those have been incorporated into the plan. Protections from predatory lenders and provisions for better oil and gas extraction protections have been incorporated in the plan, as have open space provisions and the premise of the plans, developing new housing, new commercial uses on corridors served by transit, by bus transit, and by a fixed rail. Those are provisions that are embedded with the goal of improving air quality and providing better health outcomes for the community members. The items that we were not able to bring into the plan really revolve around the reduced rent or the rent control for business development. And we believe those are items that can either be addressed at the citywide level or through future study and departmental coordination. So these are land use plans, and they regulate the way we use land in the city. The rent control for businesses is really a concept of regulating businesses, and we need to involve our partners in the Office of Finance, in the City Attorney's Office, Building and Safety, and so on in that. So if that is the wish of the council, that is something you could authorize us to further study in the future. But in terms of have we reflected the points and the concepts and the goals of the People's Plan in the South Plan and in the Southeast Plan that will be heard next, we have done that, and we believe that the community members, if they review the plan with us, and we'd be happy to sit with them line by line, they will see that their words, their concepts, their desires have been included and are reflected in these plans.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that and all of your work and your open door policy with everybody who wanted to participate in this process. Again, can't say enough about 10 years of work, 200 community hearings. This is not to mention the hearings that community members held without the city or that were not city-sponsored or sponsored by an elected official. Organizations held meetings, churches held meetings, professional groups held meetings. This is a high level of engagement, perhaps among the highest levels of engagements that we've seen over a sustained amount of time, 10 years indeed. Again, thousands and tens of thousands of folks involved in the process. The other thing I would like to point out, and I think this applies to both plans, is 10 years is a long time. And both of these areas are very, very big areas. So it is both difficult to come up with the perfect plan over a 10-year period. We can talk about a number of things that are true now that weren't true 10 years ago. We can talk about a number of things that happened in the middle of that period, including the greatest economic crisis of our lifetime, happened in the middle of this 10-year time period. We had a booming economy at the beginning of this, and we have a booming one now, and we had a crater at the end of it, at which time the planning department and lots of other organizations, planning department lost staff, and all of our organizations lost budget during that time, including all of the ones that participated in this process today. So lots of things, really, really big things change during that period, and so it makes it very, very difficult. Second thing is, these areas are huge. And so the economic and land use reality, I mean, I can tell you at Washington and, between Normandy and Figueroa is very different than the economic situation in Watts. It's just entirely different. In fact, I imagine if we were to take a poll, there are folks who live in both those neighborhoods who don't ever visit either. And so this covers lots and lots of people. You all both pointed out the size of the city of Glendale. I think you said Glendale and Pasadena combined. If you imagine, Glendale and Pasadena have, each one of them, a bunch of plans within their cities, and they're half the size of the area that we're talking about today. And so I want to congratulate everybody who was involved in the process from the beginning to the end, especially the planning department. And I want to give a special shout out to two groups. First, the group of clergy in South LA that stepped up to speak on this plan. We're very, very proud of. There is no more important or sensitive a constituency in South LA than our churches, particularly our historic churches. They're the biggest landowners. They're the most institutional and in many cases the most invested landowners and land use practitioners anywhere in the city. And I have some amendments that we'll make with regard to them at the end of my comments. And then second, the Unidad Coalition. This is as intricate and involved and as messy and disciplined a process as any set of organizers I've ever seen pursue in all my time as as an organizer in the city of Los Angeles. Los Angeles has the best organizing anywhere in the country. This is among the best and most intricate organizing that I've seen over the longest period of time, involving the most amount of people. So I think the Unidad folks should go ahead and give themselves a round of applause or snaps or whatever is in order. And I do note that you all were able to, with the support of the council offices, incorporate 75 to 80% of what got requested or put forward in the people's plan. I do note that there's 20% that is different. We can pursue some of those things in other ways. But I would also say to all the organizers out there, a golden rule for me when I was an organizer and everybody who taught me was, if you go and you get 100% of what you asked for, it means you didn't ask for enough. And so I think the Unidad Coalition should be applauded throughout the country for the effort that they've undertaken today. With that, I have about 6 recommendations that I'll ask the clerk to read into the record. And then I'd ask for an enthusiastic aye vote on this matter.
Okay, yes, I have received a copy of your amendments, and I will read them to the record now. We approve the recommendations of the City Planning Commission's determination letter with the following modifications to the proposed South Los Angeles Community Plan Implementation Overlay Ordinance. For the transit-oriented district regional center sub-area, increase a maximum base floor area ratio from 2.25 to 1 to 3 to 1 for non-residential projects. For the TOD regional center sub-area, increase the maximum height from 12 stories to 15 stories for qualifying projects. For the TOD high CPIO sub-area, increase the maximum FAR from 2.25 to 1 to 4 to 1 for hotel projects. For all TOD sub-areas of the CPIO, clarify that the Transit-Oriented Communities Affordable Housing Incentive Program is an alternative option for projects that include affordable units, provided the TOC projects comply with the development standards of the CPIO. We further recommend that the City Council request the City Attorney to prepare the ordinances for form and legality and instruct the Department of City Planning to initiate a follow-up study of the zoning and land use for religious institutions in the South Los Angeles Community Plan area and prepare recommendations for City Council consideration.
Thank you very much. Would that be if I could ask the City Attorney and CLA, as a motion, do we need to add anything else if we were to move this item forward today?
For one, I don't know if the clerk read into the record, but I think you need to request the City Attorney to prepare the CPIO. I think that may already be embedded in in the letter, and also to certify the EIR.
And adopt the CEQA findings,
Right.
Statements of overriding considerations and mitigation monitoring program, correct?
Yes, sir.
And embedded in there, we are also adopting the general plan amendments, approving the zone and height district changes. Just making sure we're including the technical language in there, in that motion, if that's a motion. I'll second that. And any questions or comments from our colleagues? Seeing none. I too want to underline and underscore Mr. Harris Dawson's point on the community being involved in this process. As communities fight for and protect their communities, oftentimes this process is overlooked as a very powerful process and tool to use to embed the community's values in the growth of their communities. And it seems like here, local residents were very much involved, and this is going to have a long-term positive impact in the direction of the community, I believe. So congratulations to you, and this is really a model of what could happen in other communities, so congratulations. With that, we'll move the item as moved by Mr. Harris Dawson. Any objections? Seeing no objections, so ordered. Thank you. Item number 6.
Item 6, Councilman, this is a Planning Commission report. It's a resolution, general plan amendment, and the CPIO as it relates to the Southeast LA Community Plan.
Thank
The
you.
environmental clearance. Oh, this one doesn't. They already did it actually for number 5, the environmental clearance. So we're done with that.
Okay, we're now in Southeast.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. So with that, can we have the planning staff report, please?
So, Ruben Caldwell, Department of City Planning. Once again, we greatly appreciate this opportunity to bring these two plans forward, and we are very proud at this time to present our next item, the Southeast Los Angeles Community Plan. Developed through years of engagement with the community, this comprehensive update to the current plan sets forth important land use policies and implementation programs that place equity and economic vitality at the forefront. Now, with your previous action regarding the South Los Angeles Community Plan, in which certification of the combined EIR was recommended, we now ask that you consider the Southeast LA Community Plan update for adoption by the City Council. At this time, I'd also like to recognize our Principal City Planner, Craig Weber, and introduce Marie Cobian, the Project Manager for the Southeast Los Angeles Community Plan. Marie has guided this plan from its beginning and will present a summary of the Community Plan update.
Thank you, Ruben. Good afternoon, council members. Marie Cobian with the City Planning Department. The item before you is a comprehensive update to the Southeast LA Community Plan, last adopted in the year 2000. The Community Plan update is a result of extensive public engagement over several years. Southeast LA encompasses a 15.7 square mile area just south of downtown LA and is located adjacent to the South LA Community Plan, which was presented previously. The two plan areas share a boundary along Figueroa and Broadway and also share many similar land use conditions. The Southeast LA Community Plan includes many neighborhoods such as Historic Central Avenue in the north and the Watts community at the southern end of the plan area. Despite its long-standing challenges, Southeast LA is a vibrant, diverse, and active community with many assets such as stable industrial districts like the Goodyear Tract, as well as a rich cultural history. The proposed community plan includes a policy document that sets forth the vision and long-range goals and policies for land use, as well as a general plan land use map. The plan accommodates nearly 35,000 additional persons and close to 10,000 housing units. The community plan update also includes the Southeast LA Community Plan Implementation Overlay, or CPIO, which is a zoning tool to implement many of the plan's goals and policies. Similar to the South LA Community Plan, the Southeast LA Community Plan seeks to accomplish multiple objectives, including revitalizing the area's commercial and industrial corridors and addressing incompatible land uses. Because the plan area is served by an extensive public transit network, the community plan also fosters thriving transit centers with increased employment and housing opportunities, in particular mixed income and affordable housing. Implementation of the community plan includes targeted general plan amendments and zone changes, In addition, the Southeast LA CPIO will establish development regulations that are tailored to the scale, context, and needs of the different neighborhoods throughout the community plan area. The CPIO district features 14 distinct sub-areas that are applied to the plan area's commercial, industrial, and transit station areas, as well as select residential areas as shown on the map. The Southeast LA CPIO is very similar to the South LA CPIO presented earlier. In general, the CPIO will enhance the aesthetic character of commercial corridors, industrial areas, and select residential areas. It will restrict certain uses, such as liquor stores and check cashing, and encourage other targeted uses, such as banks and sit-down restaurants. And it will protect eligible historic resources that are currently not protected. In the TOD sub-areas, the CPIO will provide greater development potential for projects that include affordable units and targeted commercial uses, and it will require pedestrian-friendly design. Because Southeast LA has a greater amount of industrial land, great care was given to address land use conflicts and environmental justice concerns throughout the plan area. The CPIO's industrial sub-areas will protect residential areas that are adjacent to industrial, limit non-industrial uses in stable industrial districts such as the Alameda Corridor, and allow a mix of compatible uses in the hybrid industrial areas. Overall, the CPIO development standards promote well-designed, high-quality development, greater housing opportunities for all income levels at transit stations, a variety of uses that serve the needs of the community, and adequate height transitions that protect adjacent residential from corridor development. To summarize, the Southeast LA Community Plan will improve the quality of life in a part of the city that has experienced years of disinvestment by addressing the housing shortage, overcrowding, and affordability concerns, addressing industrial residential land use conflicts, preserving viable industrial districts for existing and future industries and jobs, fostering a diversity of goods and services, and enhancing the function and appearance of the community. As previously mentioned, the Southeast LA Community Plan is a result of extensive community outreach with well over 200 meetings held throughout the plan area. In addition, the community plan had a Community Plan Advisory Committee, or CPAC, which was made up of residents and representatives from community and faith-based groups. Most recently, staff met with representatives from several faith-based organizations to review how the plan addresses their zoning concerns. We'd like to recognize the Unidad Coalition for their continued participation and for the People's Plan, which informed numerous policies and programs included in the community plan. We would like to thank the many stakeholders involved in this process, including community residents, neighborhood council members, community groups, council offices, and other agency and department staff for their continued participation and support. And in particular, we'd like to thank the Southeast LA CPAC members who volunteered their time over several years to the development of this plan. Our CPAC chair, Chris Jordan from Grant Housing, who's been with the committee since 2008, is here with us today. Les damos las gracias a todas las personas que han participado y contribuido a la actualización del plan del sureste de Los Ángeles. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, Marie, and that concludes our presentation of the Southeast Los Angeles Community Plan update.
Thank you. Mr. Price?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to thank the planning staff for that great presentation and your hard work and dedication over the years in completing this Southeast LA Community Plan. It's been a pleasure to work with the planning department and the community to witness this extensive and dedicated community outreach. I think it has been singularly successful, again, over these many years. Thanks to all the great work done by the work of the CPC, the advocates, business community, my own council team that have really taken the time, effort, and energy and resources to pull together our vision for the future of Southeast LA through this community plan process, and it has been a collaborative process. Our vision for Southeast LA includes encouraging density and large-scale projects that offer a place to live, to work, and play along the Blue Line, the Expo Line, and other transit corridors in the 9th District. We want to ensure that our existing community continues to flourish while also allowing room for future growth and development. It's of particular importance that we develop the Western Corridor, for example, the Washington Corridor, to capitalize on local transit and to bring growth to the northern portion of the planned area. With that in mind, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to propose some friendly amendments to the Southeast LA CPIO ordinance. For the TOD regional sub-area, increase the maximum base FAR from 2.25 to 1 to 3 to 1 for non-residential projects. For the TOD regional CPIO sub-area, increase the maximum height from 12 stories to 15 stories for qualifying projects. For TOD high and CPIO sub-areas, increase the maximum FAR from 2.25 to 1 to 4 to 1 for hotel projects. And for all TOD sub-areas of the CPIO, clarify that the TOC Affordable Housing Incentive Program is an alternative option for projects that include affordable units, provided the TOC projects comply with the development standards of the CPIO. I believe, Mr. Chairman, these amendments are positive additions to the CPIO and enhance and will ensure that our affordable housing projects have the option to use the recently adopted TOC guidelines, which is currently allowed in the rest of the city. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the time and consideration of these modifications.
Thank you, Mr. Price. And we will take up those amendments at the time of the vote. At this time, we will go to public comment. Laura Hill. Jean Frost, Daniel Wright, and Chris Jordan. Not here? Okay. Puppet, Herman. Oh, you are here. 1 second. Okay, so we call Jean Frost, Daniel Wright, and Chris Jordan.
Again, I represent the Empowerment Congress North, the North Area Neighborhood Development Council, so my remarks today are really based on their comments. We have a concern about the regional center between the 110 and the 10. We feel it's excessive. I'd like to submit our comments overall for the record. We also have a very deep concern about the lack of CPIOs for both the Flower Drive California Registered District in the 3900 block of Flower Street, and also what is known as Fraternity Sorority Row. One of the flaws in the research that's been done is Survey LA omitted surveying CRA areas. Many of our areas happen to be based in what was CRA areas, and their surveys have been largely ignored. So I would ask for those minor changes in a plan that otherwise we support. And I'd like to submit this for the record.
Okay. The Sergeant at Arms will get that from you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Jean Frost, Chris Jordan, Daniel Wright. You, what's your name, sir? Oh, come on up, please. Okay, Chris Jordan, and then Daniel Wright.
Good afternoon. Chris Jordan, Executive Director of Grant Housing and Economic Development Corp. of the Grand AME Church. I speak to you today as the chairperson of the CPAC that helped to develop the Southeast Community Plan. We began this process in June of 2008, almost a decade ago. So it has been a long road. However, we believe that we've developed a great product that will be very beneficial for our community. We're excited that the plan is now being examined and considered for adoption. We'd also like to thank city staff, Marie, Ruben, and the entire team for their support throughout the process. We also urge your support for the People's Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Daniel Wright, Puppet, and Herman.
Daniel Wright of the Silverstein Law Firm on behalf of stakeholders in the plan areas. Let the record reflect that prior to the beginning of this meeting, we did submit to the record our letter and supporting evidence regarding these proposed plans, including the Southeast Community Plan. Our firm successfully litigated the Hollywood Community Plan update, where we succeeded in demonstrating that the city had used dramatically skewed population and growth projection data largely relied upon by SCAG. And many of those same flaws appear to exist in these plans, including this plan before you at this time. And we've therefore asked that this plan be sent back to the Planning Department for refinement based upon the issues raised in our letter, which we think establish that all issues analyzed in the EIR have not been analyzed because of the skewed population and growth data. Thank you.
Thank you. And can the staff in the middle, can you move a little bit to your right so I could see the clock, please? Puppet?
And council members, Adrian Corsani, City Attorney's Office, just to remind you that the EIR was already acted on in the prior, and so all comments would have been made at that time.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. Thank you so much, Silverstein Law Firm. Isn't it amazing that they're the ones who protect affordable housing? Not Marchese and not Curran. What would have happened in 1978 if they had to pass rent control? The great Mayor Tom Bradley. Where would you two guys have been when you were younger? Out in the fucking street. And now you got the seat of power, and you're putting your own people out in the street, taking affordable units under Ellis and under rent control and tearing them down and making them unaffordable units. That's all that stuff is up there. This is not gentrification. It's a holocaust for the people that are here. What's wrong with lower middle class people having a place to live? You guys have a problem with that. Check yourself at the door. This is a wrong plan. Protect affordable housing and rent-controlled housing. Without it, city dies.
Diana Carvente. Alberto Tlatoa. Natalie Cabrera.
Good afternoon, Plum Council. My name is Alberto Clatoa. I'm here representing Sur Centro Collective. We're a grassroots organization that seeks to empower youth through the arts, wellness, education, and empowerment. So basically, I'm here to talk about the lack of green space in South Central, and it's essential that we continue to support projects or even organizations that are fighting for these kind of projects, such as the South Central Farm. I'm also a member of the South Central Farm Restoration Committee, and we've been fighting the city for years trying to get this farm back up and running. We have the money to purchase a property, and we just need you guys to put more pressure on the city. South Central needs more green spaces. It needs more access to fresh organic produce. And if you guys are talking about leveraging and creating access and giving the community a voice, then step up to the plate and make the right decisions and vouch for these projects that are already in existence. Thank you.
Thank you. Adriana Cabrera, Martin Porter, Cynthia Stothman. Welcome. You could go ahead and speak, even if whoever comes up to the microphone first.
Hello, my name is Martin Porter, and I'm a member with Ward African Methodist Episcopal Church. And I work with a number of faith-based organizations in Southeast LA and South LA. I stand with and for the historic communities of Southeast LA who have formed its cultural core. Churches have been the bulwark and the anchor for many communities in Southeast LA. They have stood in the breach through season after season of crisis and urgency. With planned Southeast LA, they can now enter a season of growth and renewal. When our churches thrive, they stay. When they stay, all the people of South LA win. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, my
my name is Cynthia Strathman. I'm with SAGE. I'm here with the Unidad Coalition. And you've heard a lot of people talk about the specifics of things that they wish had been included. We're going to try not to have them reiterate all of that over again. I did want to come back up again and take another minute to thank everybody who's worked so hard on these. I know that the council offices in districts 9, 8, 14, 1, and 15 have really put a huge amount of effort into these. We really appreciate that work, and we appreciate everything, especially the planning staff has done to incorporate all of the community input that they've gotten. I know it's been a lot of work. We also had some union allies here that I didn't really get a chance to thank: UTLA, Unite Here, and SEIU, Fight for 15. So again, we just want to say thank you so much for including all of the equity provisions that you have. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you. Adriana Cabrera, Benjamin Torres, Ismaili Marcus Allgood, Doug Smith, Benjamin Torres, Ismail, Marcus Allgood, and Doug Smith. Welcome.
Good afternoon again. Benjamin Torres, President and CEO of CD Tech. First of all, I want to thank Councilmember Harris Dawson for recognizing the hard work of the Unidad Coalition and putting together this 10-year effort to bring social and economic justice to South LA. And so thank you for that recognition. It's important that we understand that without organizing, you can't have progress in this city. So thank you for that. The People's Plan addresses the intersections, areas of housing affordability, displacement prevention, local jobs, protecting and incentivizing for community-serving small businesses, addressing the harmful impacts of predatory lending facilities, expanding access to parks and green space, protecting families and schools from oil and gas extraction, and incentivizing federally qualified health centers so that community health clinics are more accessible. So we thank you for working with us. We hope you stand with the People's Plan and incorporate all our recommendations in the record going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ishmael Marcus Allgood, and I live in District 8, and I support the People's Plan. We want an increase in incentives for 100% affordable housing projects by creating a transfer of floor area ratio program, TFAR. Any affordable housing that is vacated or demolished must always be replaced, and the displaced tenants offered a right of return. As currently drafted, the CPIOs provide 100% affordable developments with the same benefits as mixed income development. In order to strengthen the incentives for 100% affordable housing project, the department should consider creating a transfer of floor area ratio program. Under this TFAR program, 100% affordable housing projects could be granted a 6-to-1 floor area ratio, FAR. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug Smith. Eric Velasquez. Nolwen Cifuentes. Robin Line. Yvette Nunez. Lorena Ventura. Any of those people here? No? Flora Martinez. Pedro Martinez. Stephen Love. Maria Patiño. Miguel Paredes. Orino Opinaldo. Welcome.
Thank you again for listening to me. Irene Opinaldo, born in Southeast LA, a South LA resident in Council District 8, got involved in organizing my community for the People's Plan. Southeast LA's community plan could repeal repeat the same mistakes of the past if I'm not part of the conversation. My friends, community, neighbors, and small businesses are facing threats of eviction, even though we work hard, follow the rules, and pay our taxes. This community is beautiful, and I will fight for resources to come in and lift us up, not push us out. Thank you for accepting most of the people's plan, but I hope you put in all the rest. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rosalina Hernandez, Debbie Alvarez, Jeffrey Hampton, Georgina Serrano, Kevin Solis, Onyx Moreno. No? Edna Monroy, Lucia Torres, Ilana Eden, Ann Fox, welcome.
Hi, I'm Edna Monroy. I live in District 8, and as I mentioned earlier, South Central LA has been my home since 2001. Although I don't live in Southeast LA, I do know that Southeast LA and South Central LA are neighboring communities. Therefore, we face very similar struggles in terms of not having quality, safe, and accessible green areas by the community, for the community. The People's Plan is a great step moving forward to ensure that the people, that the community directly impacted are not only included but centered in these decision-making processes. And so I want to urge you all to include the rest of the People's Plan proposals, and also remember that not having access to green areas contributes to the deterioration of our mental health, such as anxiety and depression, and so that also worsens, right, our health, and contributes to the environmental racism that we already face. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ilana Eden. I'm a writer who covers urban planning in LA and nationally, and I'm here with Sage to support 100% adoption of the People's Plan. Specifically, the proposal, which is on page 12 of the plan, to set base FAR and TOD sub-areas at 1.5 and tie increases to affordable housing and community benefits. It's important that we don't allow big developments to build by right without managing the impacts they have on their neighbors in South and Southeast LA. This isn't about demonizing development or upzoning. It's about good planning, guiding development in a way that benefits the community and the city. Despite our commitment to equity and inclusion, Los Angeles has struggled to articulate a clear anti-displacement policy. Fortunately, the community of South LA has stepped up and put together a well-researched, comprehensive strategy that accommodates growth while protecting disadvantaged communities. All you have to do is adopt it, and I urge you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin Manuel, Jonathan Ayon, Steve Diaz, Joe Donlin, Jacqueline DuPont Walker, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the council. I'm pleased to be here today as a member of the Council of Religious Leaders, a member of Ward African Methodist Episcopal Church, and president of Ward Economic Development Corporation. We're pleased to support the plan that's being proposed. Happy that the committee and the council recognizes the partnership that existed for so long between faith-based organizations and the city. Often the faith-based organizations have been the social enterprises that moved without seeking further funds and resources. Now we're ready to partner. It is important for Southeast LA to be poised to receive the global economy as the rest of this region is. Thank you to the staff for listening. We look forward to working with you because we did find a few things we were concerned about, and your flexibility and nimbleness is extremely important. These institutions are 100-plus years old, long-time stakeholders in South LA, never leaving when the demographics change. Thank you, and we're going nowhere.
Thank you.
Hello again, Joe Donlin with SAGE and the Unidad Coalition. Wanted to thank Councilmember Harris Dawson for his kind words to the Unidad Coalition once again, and send another round of thanks to the planning staff, to all the council offices, and the members of the city family, the planning commission, the mayor's office, in support of all the collaboration around this long effort. Certainly, the planning team has been extremely communicative and responsive to our proposals, and I just wanted to clarify that we definitely appreciate where a lot of our proposals have been addressed in concept, and in many cases very specifically, while other items still have not yet gone all the way in terms of the details. And as we know, the details are what matter, and so that's why we're here today. You'll have noticed that a lot of our speakers ceded their time this second time around out of respect for everyone's time today. So we appreciate all of your work. Thank you.
Thank you. Isabel Tickham, Esperanza Martinez, Daryl Barnett, Aiden Akbarout, Leonard Delpit, and John Hughes.
Good afternoon. I have only one question. It's very simple. I would like to know what happened to the environmental report of our neighborhoods. Because where my building is located, we get polluted every day, every night, 24 hours a day, and there is no environmental reporting about the contaminations that we are up under. So I would like to have a copy of that if possible. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Aiden Akbarut. I'm with Rock Management, and we're private developers that build unsubsidized affordable housing, almost exclusively 100% affordable, and mostly at the lower AMIs. So we're your friends. And the only concern we have, by the way, you guys did a great job with this plan. We totally support it. But one of our concerns is that the state laws regarding density bonus address some of the holes that are impossible not to have, and we just urge planning to increase the number of memos, the planning memos, that they address all those concerns. We've worked with the city attorney's office, with planning management, but we can't seem to get a few of those inequities resolved. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That concludes our public comment period. And wanted to see if there's any concluding remarks by Councilmember Price.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too want to just thank everyone who commented today in support of this process. And I do want to give a special shout out to the coalition of organizations that came together to create the People's Plan. And I just have one difference, Mr. Chair. I heard comments earlier that we adopted 70% of the plan. I think we adopted 80%, according to my figures. And where the plans do not incorporate the People's Plan, it's because recommendations are already being pursued by other agencies or departments with more appropriate purview over such potential programs. But again, we appreciate the time, effort, and energy that went into creating that plan. But to conclude, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we adopt the Southeast LA Community Plan and supporting documents as recommended by the Planning Commission with the friendly amendments presented earlier. Also, I'd request the city attorney prepares an ordinance for form, legality, and lastly, I too would like to instruct the Department of Planning to initiate a follow-up study on the zoning and land use for religious institutions in Southeast LA, in the Southeast LA Community Plan area, and to provide a report back when the next meeting will be held for the consideration of the ordinance by this committee.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'll second that motion. And for purposes of having the formalities and technical language in the motion to effectuate the adoption of this community plan, anything else we need to add, Mr. CLA?
No, I think Mr. Price covered everything. The approval, the request of the city attorney to prepare the CPIO, and the amendments submitted by CD9.
Thank you. And do you prefer I call you Mr. CLA or Mr. Mejia?
Whatever you prefer, Council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mejia. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments on this? Seeing none, no objections, so ordered. Thank you very much, and congratulations, everyone, on your hard work, and thank you to the planning department as well and the community. Thank you. Item number 2.
Item 2, Councilman, this is a motion by yourself, Weezer Bonin. It's instructing the Housing Department, along with the city attorney, to report on whether artists may be considered an eligible category for targeted affordable housing policies.
Thank you. And colleagues, we introduced this motion given the situation that is not only occurring in the Arts District, but throughout the city of LA, where you know how unaffordable housing is becoming for many, particularly in neighborhoods like the Arts District, where there are some changes occurring. We thought it prudent at this time to research and to come back with some policy that will benefit the artists in communities such as the Arts District. We were very direct in calling for ways in which the city could address the artists' displacement concerns in the motion, and we hope to come back with an ordinance that will help address those concerns. That's the intent of the motion. At this time, I'd like to go to public comment. Jonathan Gerald, Stu Needman, Sylvia Tidewell. Welcome, Mr. Gerald.
Councilmember Weezer, thank you very much. Council members, I'd like to thank you for crafting this elegant and pithy motion.
Hold it one second. Can you speak into the mic?
Oh,
Lift
I'm
the
sorry.
microphone up. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. There you go.
First, I'd like to thank you for crafting this elegant and pithy motion, and I'd like to point out that the Arts District has been made significant contributions to the culture not only of the city, but the state, and you could argue the world. And with the many benefits that gentrification has brought, it has unfortunately pushed a lot of artists out. I think we estimate about 65 or 70% of the artists who were here 15 years ago are gone. Many of them have left for more affordable accommodations. Obviously, affordable artists would benefit not only the Arts District, but would be a significant contribution to the city as a whole. So I thank you for moving this project forward and considering it, and hope for the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Stu Needman. Can you speak in the microphone, please?
Hello, I am speaking for Stu Needman. I'm Sylvia Tidwell from the Santa Fe Art Colony in downtown LA.
Mm-hmm.
I represent the Tenants Association as the head of the Tenants Association, and we are a formerly rent-restricted art colony in south of downtown, and we have about 80 residents. I'm here to speak for the motion that you, Councilman Weezer, have proposed. And of course, it has been very concerning for many, and us, the artists at the art colony especially, because the artists have been priced out of the arts district, and we have an arts district devoid of artists at this point. And so we are very much in favor of your motion. We applaud this category of artists being eligible for affordable housing. And we also think that the idea of instituting an affordable housing program is necessary for Los Angeles. And so we want to retrieve what we have lost and support the arts and the artists and the economic benefits and the creative benefits they bring to the city. Now, we're also here, we've lost some of our artists here who came to support the Camden project. And we would like to see this live-work project in the Arts District. We need more rental units in the Arts District, and we're especially interested in the idea that there may be the affordable units that the developer will deliver to the city can be given to artists in preference. We also think the architecture is distinguished. It's smart. It has an integration of the indoors and the outdoors, and the mixed use is very valuable. It is a structure that is an invitation for community. So we also would want to tell you that we support that as well.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here, and thank you for your comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I also want to say that several of our group had to leave earlier, but there are others that came to support this project. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, I have just a couple of questions for our housing department. Is our housing department here? HSID, can you come up to the table, please? And as we proceed and we come back with an ordinance, just a quick question on any foreseeable legal constraints that the city might be aware of at this time, considering any affordable housing preferential program for artists.
Good afternoon, Ed Gibson from Housing Community Investment Department. There's a number of legal concerns that we need to address as we look forward to this. I know we have the city attorney with us as well, but as everything, it touches on fair housing and various rights. So we have home regulations, we have federal regulations, and we have state law. As it's kind of structured right now, you can provide marketing towards a specific population, but saying you're giving them a preference overall in the housing starts to run into fair housing issues and state law issues, and I'll let the city attorney get deeper into those, but we have to be very careful if we set up a program. There's certain steps that would have to be set aside, that you have to make the demonstration that this class overall needs this type of protection as well, and so we have to follow certain things that also run into our consolidated plan as well. So it's a thoughtful approach when you put together a formalized program.
Okay, thank you. Anything to add?
Yes, my name is Mei Mei Chang. I'm a Deputy City Attorney for Housing, and I do agree with what Mr. Gibson mentioned. Unfortunately, the law in this area, it's heavily regulated, and the law tends to be a little bit gray. I can do a little overview of the layers of law that would be impacted by this preference if you'd like me to. It just take me a couple minutes.
Okay.
So under TCAC, under the tax...
Credit Allocation Committee.
Exactly. A preference for artists is legal. Under home regulations, it also allows preferences for police officers, teachers, and artists, but the preference must be in the consolidated plan, which shouldn't be a problem. Under federal fair housing laws, a preference does not appear to be illegal in that it only prohibits preferences based on race, color, religion, sex, familial status, and national origin. However, if the impact of the preference results in a disparate impact on a protected class, that could cause liability to the city, and that's not something that I can readily predict. State law is somewhat problematic because under state law, you cannot discriminate on the preference of source of income, and most of the case law out there only suggests it doesn't really define what discrimination based on source of income is, other than you can't not accept like public assistance and so forth, but it doesn't really say anything whether a preference is considered discrimination based on source of income. So that's also a gray area. And then lastly, under the Civil Code, the Unruh Civil Rights Act requires everyone to have full and fair access to all accommodations, but the Unruh Act only prohibits unreasonable discrimination. If we have a strong public policy justification in place, I feel like we could defend the preference, but we probably should commission some kind of study that shows that the preference is actually required that justifies the reason for it based on maybe, hard data, that would go a long way in making any program more safeguarding the city from liability from such a preference.
Right, thank you very much. I would imagine that we would need to have further discussion on this and to eventually come back with a draft ordinance, but our intent is to make it at all possible to create artists as a class for purposes of affordable housing here. What is affirmative marketing, and what does that allow the city to do?
Affirmative marketing is the requirement of how you outreach to the population, and the goal is to make sure that the population where a project lies, that everybody, specifically the eligible members, are outreached to, but even more specifically, those who would not necessarily be inclined to see the traditional outreach. So it's making sure that those groups make sure they get told about this resource since they're there. So, and a lot of times you hear us talk, what are the primary languages spoken in a specific area, so we make sure that all outreach materials touch on all those languages so that everybody's made aware. And so it's along those lines without going into deeper detail.
Right. Any other questions or comments on this? Well, thank you for your thoughts on this, and we look forward to getting the report back that it will eventually, hopefully, lead to an ordinance. Time is of the essence. I look back at the Arts District and see how some of the creative energies of the artists have kept that neighborhood alive and make it what it is today, and it's unfortunate that the peak of the revitalization of the area, if you want to call it that, the artists are some of the first to be displaced, and so we hope to move as quickly as possible on this, but thank you very much. Anything else?
You're welcome. No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, colleagues, we'll move to refer this item to staff and come back with a report back, and in the interim, when we do that, our office will discuss with all the relevant departments and any reports that would need to be generated from that to then eventually lead to an ordinance, hopefully. Right. Any objections to that direction? Seeing none, so ordered. Thank you very much. Item number 8, please.
Item 8, Councilman, this is a report from the City Planning Commission. It also contains 2 appeals. It's a resolution for a general plan amendment, as well as one of the appeals relates to the track map, and the other appeal relates to the site plan and the SIA environmental document.
Thank you. Can staff briefly report on this item, please?
Sure, happy to. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Michael Sin, planning staff for the 1525 Industrial Street project. The project before you is the demolition of an existing cold storage building and the construction of a new mixed-use project with 344 live-work units, 24,744 square feet of creative office and production space, and 4,042 square feet of restaurant space.
No.
On August 10th, 2017, the CPC adopted the MND for the project, approved the density bonus incentives, master conditional use permit, and site plan review, and recommended approval of the general plan amendment and vesting zone and height district change. The CPC also denied an appeal of the vesting tentative tract map number 74112 and sustained the advisory agency's approval of the map. The appellants, Yuval Bar-Zemmer and the Arts District Community Council, Los Angeles, are appealing to City Council the actions of the CPC, including the MND, the site plan review, and the tract map. The applicant, Camden, has also filed an appeal of the CPC's adoption of the MND, strictly for procedural reasons, in order for the City Council to consider adoption of the Sustainable Communities Environmental Assessment, or SKIA, that was prepared for this project. On November 17th, 2017, planning staff submitted to the record modifications to the adopted findings, and we respectfully request your consideration of these findings, which further substantiate and support the CPC's actions. Late this morning, the applicant also submitted supplemental findings, which they request the City Council to adopt. Staff has reviewed the findings and concurs with the content. If the council chooses to adopt them, we would request the following 3 changes. 1, for environmental finding number 5, replace the reference to the lead agency with the decision maker. 2, for environmental finding number 8, insert a reference to the mitigation monitoring program in addition to the MND and SKIA. 3, omit a portion of the modification on page 5, as the existing findings already highlight the project's jobs focus. With respect to the appeals, many of the appeal points have been made before, and detailed responses can be found in the appeal recommendation report for the tract and the letter of determination for the CPC case. The appellants state that the project is inconsistent with the general plan. However, as thoroughly set forth in the findings, the project is in substantial conformance with the provisions of the community plan and the framework element. The appellants state that the project's height, floor area, and density are vastly greater than surrounding properties. However, footnote number 6 of the community plan actually allows an FAR of 3:1 through a zone and height district change procedure. The proposed project would have a maximum FAR of 2.98 to 1 and would be subject to a delimitation of a 3:1 FAR in the C2 zone. The appellants state that the C2 zone does not allow live-work units. As conditioned, the project shall consist of 344 residential dwelling units that comply with the live-work building code requirements, along with 24,744 square feet of creative office and production space and 4,042 square feet of restaurant. The C2 zone permits this mix of residential and commercial uses as conditioned and proposed. The appellants state that the proposed project is not consistent with the land use designation and therefore violates the Subdivision Map Act. However, the approval of the vesting tentative tract is expressly conditioned upon the approval of the general plan amendment and vesting zone and height district change. The C2 zone is consistent with the proposed regional commercial land use designation. The appellants state that the project exceeds the maximum density permitted in the C2 zone of 400 square feet per dwelling unit. However, R5 zone density is allowed for mixed-use projects in the C2 zone with the regional commercial land use designation, which requires 200 square feet of area per dwelling unit. In closing, planning recommends denial of the appeals before you today and recommends that the City Council adopt the general plan amendment, vesting zone and height district change, the Sustainable Communities Environmental Assessment, the modifications to the findings as submitted by staff, and the supplemental findings submitted by the applicant with the 3 changes noted previously. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Great. Thank you very much. So with that, we'll go to public comment, and I'm looking for the appellants to the project. Where are the appellants? I'm looking for your public comment cards here.
Should be there, but if you can't find it, I'm happy to submit another.
Okay, what's your name?
John Gibbon.
Okay.
So good afternoon, Commissioner.
Okay, so for appellants, whoever speaks as part of the appellants of record, the representatives and or the actual appellants of record can speak a total of 5 minutes, and then any other individuals on your team that wish to speak have 1 minute. So
Yes, thank you. I'll be speaking on behalf of the Arts District Community Council, LA, and Yuval Bar-Zemra will speak on his own behalf during this appellant's time. I'll take approximately half of our time, and he'll take the balance. So because of the limited time, I'm not going to cover everything that's raised in our appeals and the other objection letters that we've submitted. I've attempted to summarize our primary issues in a letter that was submitted to the record yesterday. Hopefully you have that before you. With respect to the vesting tentative tract map, or the VTT, the main issues are that the map is inconsistent with the applicable community plan, which is the Central City North Community Plan. It's also inconsistent with the general plan framework element. The inconsistencies are primarily related to the fact that C2 zoning and the land use designation of regional commercial are not consistent with the existing plan, but despite planning's reports that state otherwise, the zoning and land use designations are not consistent with the draft update for the Central City North Community Plan either. The DTLA 40 plan is underway. It shows the whole area as being hybrid industrially zoned, not regional commercial and C2. Both the community plan and framework elements support retaining industrially zoned and designated land, and the policies contained with those within those documents are not just aspirational. In the case of the framework element, before the city can convert industrially zoned land, it must subject that action to study. It hasn't done that. So to grant approval of an inconsistent map subverts the integrity of the planning process and it violates the Subdivision Map Act. Projects have to conform to the general plan, not the other way around. The environmental document for the VTT, the MND document, fails to fully acknowledge and analyze these general plan and community plan conflicts, and it fails to disclose or analyze the spot zone that results from them. The proper definition for spot zone is the one in the CEQA guidelines that the city published, not from cases that are not city documents. The environmental document also relies on an out-of-date related projects list, so it fails to properly consider and analyze the cumulative impacts. With respect to the other entitlements, the general plan conflicts are also the main problem. The site plan review requires a finding of substantial conformance, as Mr. Sin just mentioned. The fact that they're in conflict is obviously fatal to approval of the site plan review. Likewise, the general plan amendment and vesting zone change can't be approved. The general plan amendment is also just unavailable. The charter limits amendments to the entire plan, its subject elements or their subparts, or by geographic areas, provided that that geographic area has significant social, economic, or physical identity. That's not the case here, so it's just not available. The Sustainable Environmental document, the SCEA document, was filed late for this project, but doesn't really change the outcome. It's based on the same analysis. Finally, it's clear based on the entire project history that the city is really attempting here to circumvent its responsibilities under CEQA. This project was first presented with the Arts District Live Work interim ordinance. That became later the citywide hybrid industrial ordinance. The environmental documents essentially admit that. Nonetheless, it's being filed here as a C2 document designated regional commercial. But that wasn't done by zoning code, that was done by a zoning administrator's adjustment. That's just improper. The balance of the time will be Mr. Bartheimer's. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Huizar. 2 years ago, 2 years and 2 months, in a plan meeting that was reviewing the exact same project and the hybrid industrial zone, I stood here together with over 300 members of the community, begging you not to allow the destruction of the Arts District. We asked to make sure that 1.5 FAR would be reserved for commercial and productive uses. We asked that the new live-work units would have an average square footage of 1,000 square feet and keep the construction type flexible so new uses in the future can easily adapt to buildings as culture and technology changes. Instead of leading the constituency that voted for you, you elected to follow the recommendation of Camden, the applicant, that was delivered to your office by Dale Goldsmith and your former downtown deputy Arturo Gonzalez, and further shrink the requirements for commercial and productive spaces and ignore all the important asks that the community articulated so well. So now that you are on your last term in office and you look forward to your next public office, what legacy would you want to leave behind? Do you really want to be the one that remembered for turning the Arts District to a residential neighborhood of type 3 wood construction with tiny apartments and few restaurants on the ground floor? This is your last opportunity to fix the damage. You can send Camden home and ask them to work with the community guidelines that are built on sound principles of 35 years of experience in the Arts District. It will ensure that the idea behind keeping jobs, innovation, creativity in the Arts District is not lip service, but something you can be proud of.
Thank you very much, sir. Your time is up. And we did have, I have not called you up yet.
This is not part of the...
Yes, when your name is called, we will call you up. Thank you. And yes, we did have a difference of opinion in the Live Work Ordinance that was supported by a lot of committee members as well. It's unfortunate that you had to litigate and now we have to take ad hoc projects like this instead of having framework by which we could adopt projects. But it is what it is here. Next, the applicants, Dale Goldsmith.
Good afternoon, honorable committee members. My name is Dale Goldsmith. I'm a partner with the law firm of Armbruster, Goldsmith & Delvac, representing the applicant Camden here
Would
with
you
me
take the
today.
full 5 minutes, or the applicant will speak as well, or just
It'll just
the
be me, and I'll
representative?
try to get it in less
Okay.
than 5, given the lateness of the
Thank
hour.
you.
Thank you. Here with me today are Ben Brasso and John Rovat of Camden, together with the architect, the traffic engineer, and the CEQA consultant, all available for any questions you may have. I'd like to start by commending staff, which has done a consistently great job in the 5 years that we've been working on this project. It was originally filed in 2012. Over the last 5+ years, we've been working very closely with planning staff to develop a new type of project that fulfills the city's key current planning goals and objectives for the area, including creating both needed housing, including affordable housing, and jobs. Camden has also sought neighborhood input and has had over 200 meetings with various community members. As a result of both the city and the public input, the project has evolved significantly over the last 5 years. It has changed dramatically from a traditional residential apartment project over retail into a live-work project with creative office uses, artist uses, and restaurant space. The live-work units will include at least 150 square feet of workspace, will have tall ceilings, and will comply with Building Code Section 419, which allows up to 5 employees per unit, thereby further preserving and enhancing the job space in the area. The original project didn't include any affordable housing units. The current project before you includes 18 very low-income units plus 5 workforce housing units. Camden has also added a number of innovative features to the project, including a vibrant arts mural on the building's facade along Wholesale Street, a publicly accessible pedestrian paseo that connects both Industrial Street and Mill Street and enhances walkability, a lush green wall along Alameda Street, a publicly accessible ground floor plaza courtyard, including landscaping, sitting areas, and outdoor dining, a transparent glazing at 50% of the street level facade along Industrial Street, again to enhance pedestrian experience, ample bicycle parking for residents, electric vehicle parking and charging stations, a cool roof with high solar reflectance to reduce the heat island effect, and other sustainable features to enable the project to achieve LEED Silver equivalence. In addition, Camden has increased the project's commercial component by almost 300% since the beginning, and the project now provides over 24,000 square feet of creative office space, including co-working space, space for startups and other small businesses in the area. In addition, the project will generate 450 construction jobs with a preference for local hiring, and 124 permanent jobs, not including those jobs generated by the live-work units. In addition, Camden is committed to working with the city to develop either a preference or other programs to help ensure that, to the maximum extent feasible, there's artists in the units, the live-work units, especially the affordable units in the project. We've submitted 3 letters for your consideration over the last couple days. The first letter requests a couple very minor changes to the conditions. First is a deletion to map condition 7F, which incorrectly states that the project density is not consistent with the recommended C2 zoning, when in fact it is so consistent. Secondly, we would revise Q condition number 12 to change the hours that the paseo is open to the public from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. instead of the original 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., and this is due to safety and security reasons. The second letter requests that you adopt additional findings that supplement and enhance planning's already comprehensive findings to provide the clearest and most complete record possible. The third letter is a point-by-point response to each of appellant's arguments, including the allegations presented to you just previously by the earlier speakers. Finally, I just wanted to elaborate. We filed a CEQA appeal with respect to the approval of the off-menu waiver items. Those don't get appealed to council. And because the statute says that only the city council can approve the SKIA or Sustainable Communities Environmental Assessment, we filed the appeal for procedural reasons to get that before you. So we would request that you grant the appeal in part and deny it in part, and adopt both the MND and the SCAA with respect to those waivers as well as all the other approvals before you today. So therefore, we would respectfully request you make those 2 minor changes to the conditions, adopt the supplemental findings we submitted as modified by planning staff, adopt the MND and the SCEA with respect to all the approvals, including the waivers, grant those approvals, and approve the project. Thank you for your consideration. We're available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Joanne Danganen, Julie Arnoff, Stu Needman. Each public speaker now has 1 minute. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm joined in Gannon here on behalf of Central City Association. CCA is an advocate for the addition of much-needed housing in this city, particularly with downtown as the region's center for growth. So we strongly support the project. It will activate an underutilized site and advance a part of the arts district that is already seeing more residents, an impressive diversity of amenities, and more job offerings. The project's addition of live-work units, 18 of which will be set aside for affordable housing and 5 for workforce housing, will help alleviate the city's housing crisis. Plus, its thoughtful design will provide beautiful park space in a very park-poor area, adding a great community benefit, among others. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. George Herbert. George Herbert here? No. Sylvia Tidwell. Jonathan Gerald. Tim Keating. Don Aerosmith.
My name is Jonathan Gerald. I'm the secretary of the Los Angeles Downtown Arts District Space, which is a arts nonprofit made up of property owners, artists, and other stakeholders in the community. We're here to strongly support this project. The Arts District has a housing crisis for artists, and the city has a housing crisis overall. And I think that we need to adapt to the new reality and recognize that smaller units are what we need. This project not only has units for affordable housing, but it also has public space that artists will be able to utilize. So we strongly endorse this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Keating, Don Aerosmith, Gina Mann, Forrest Murray, David Davis.
Councilman Huizar, this is Timothy Keating. I've been a Arts District resident since 1984. When we first got here, we were not allowed to live in the Arts District. We had to hide our bedrooms and our bathrooms. Joel Wax, who was a member of the City Council, passed the Artist in Residence statute in 1985, I believe. And the city put up signs in our neighborhood that said, Artist District, singular. We made them take it down and put up a plural sign. They still have the original signs. The way it's going, they're going to need them. This developer is one of the few developers who've actually tried to help us build affordable housing, and we'd like to support their project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don Aerosmith, Gina Mann, Forrest Murray, David Davis, Francesco Siqueiros, Megan Jane Hazen, Michelle Ramos or Ramirez, Mike Lopez. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Megan. I moved to LA 4 years ago, and since I've been here, I have had a great experience as an artist. I'm here today to support the Camden Project and other artists in the community just like me. We deserve the chance to be able to come out here and make it and do art and express and create a beautiful future that's safe for everyone. There's some artists here today from Box 8 to speak, and so they'll come up now.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Lopez, and I am here in support of the Camden Project, specifically their concept of building new live-work units that are suitable for artists. I also support Camden's goal of including an affordable housing preference for these artists, as we need more affordable units in the downtown area. The new Camden development will help alleviate the shortage of housing that currently exists in Los Angeles. Limiting new development will only result in higher rents and excluding tenants in areas that are currently too expensive to live. I urge you to support the Camden Project. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Ramos or Ramirez, not here? Yes. Katrina Hunter, Chantal, Matthew Francis, welcome.
Hello, hi. As a young artist, I believe that many areas have become extremely exclusive towards us. I have been pursuing like singing and everything and acting and songwriting, and it's been a very difficult journey, especially as a young woman in this industry and as a young Christian in this industry. And it's just a very nice, it's a very beautiful thing to be able to come together with people that have such light in them and that have just creativity everywhere, all around, all abound. And I strongly support this project and know and believe in my heart that it's not only going to benefit every heart that enters there, but also going to benefit the hearts of all of you. So thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you. Katrina Hunter, Chantal, Matthew Francis, River Johnson, Sam Hayes. What's your name, sir?
Matthew Francis.
Okay.
I work at Box 8 Studios, and I would say that having an affordable place for artists to also work and stay is good. So to pass the Camden project, here you go.
Great. Thank you. River Johnson, Sam Hayes,
Hi there.
Hello.
How you doing? I'm here with Box 8 Studios as well. I'm an artist. I've lived in LA for 5 years. I think it kind of goes without saying what people have already brought up about the fact that artists have been priced out of the arts district and they do need places to be. So I think I just want to talk about the value of building an actual community for artists. I think it's immensely valuable. If you look at the greatest writers of the 20s, they're all living and working together and making each other better. The greatest writers of the 50s, that's happening. You look at even the greatest directors right now in Hollywood. If you think about Spielberg and Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola, they were all growing up together and living and working together and making each other better. So I think it's an incredible advantage to bring all the artists together. And I don't know much about the specifics of this whole deal and the laws and all that, but I know that if there's a way to do it, we should, especially in LA, which is a city of such great artists.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Laura Velke, Blair Bedston, George Yu, Philip Brown. Welcome.
My name is Laura Velke, and I serve on the board of the Historic Cultural Neighborhood Council as the chair of the Land Use Committee, and I'm a founding board member of the Arts District Community Council. I am opposed to the approval of this project in its current form, as I have articulated multiple times before various city agencies. Out of 163 projects reviewed during my tenure, 5 projects were actively opposed. Only one development project achieved total and unwavering opposition, and it is this one. For 4 years, our community has shown up to meeting after meeting, hearing after hearing, and written letter after letter openly and loudly opposing this project and the ill-conceived hybrid industrial ordinance, which Camden helped the city draft. Our leadership made multiple efforts to convince Camden to change course. Not only did they refuse to change course, they doubled down because of this. For some odd reason, they seem to think that regardless of what we say, their project will get approved. At what point, councilmen, does the will of the community override these Republican, Trump-supporting interlopers? This community has earned the right to decide its future. I once again request that this Camden application be denied. Thank you.
Blair Bedston, George Yu, Philip Bruin. Right here. Baldemaro Capiz. Can't make out this name. Last name is Murildo. Fioliani Murildo.
Hi. I need translation.
Is there a translator here?
Something. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Baldomero Capiz. presidente de la organización Braceros y nosotros apoyamos el proyecto de Camden.
Good afternoon. My name is Baidomero Capiz, president of the organization of Braceros, and we are in support of the Camden project.
Nosotros apoyamos el proyecto de Camden porque reconocemos que tenemos una escasez de vivienda a bajo costo.
We are in support of this project of Camden because we recognize that we have scarce affordable housing.
Como grupo que defiende el derecho de las personas a viviendas accesibles a bajo costo,
we are a group that defends the rights of those who need affordable housing.
es importante que la ciudad haga todo lo posible para crear más viviendas.
It is very important for the city to do everything possible to create additional housing.
Cada año es más caro vivir en la ciudad de Los Ángeles
Each year is more expensive to live in the city of Los Angeles
porque no tenemos suficientes viviendas.
because there is not sufficient housing.
Las rentas siguen aumentando porque no existen suficientes viviendas, unidades para vivir.
The rent is increasingly higher because there is not existing affordable housing.
Y a menos que existan más viviendas, las rentas seguirán muy altas.
And it is necessary for more housing in order to stop high housing cost.
El proyecto de Camden ofrece una oportunidad de viviendas para gente de bajos recursos.
The Camden project offers a percentage of affordable housing for people of low income.
Por eso, nuestra organización apoya el proyecto de Camden y pide que sea aprobado.
And that is the reason why our organization asks and supports the project of Camden and asks this project be approved.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, gracias. Ruben Serna, Rand Boyder, and Jaime Gallardo.
Hello, my name is Philip Bruin.
Okay.
Being called earlier.
Yeah.
I've been an artist in Los Angeles now for about 10 years in support of the Camden project here via Box 8 Studios. It is from my experience, my belief of other fellow artists that live workspace studio areas as well as affordable housing is a definite must within Los Angeles here. Compared to a lot of the other major cities, when you don't have enough of these spaces or enough affordable housing for artists, your art community begins to dwindle. And within the art community, you see a lot of areas to produce, to manufacture, distribute any of the art that they make that helps to develop local communities and just bring more value to the cities overall outside of your corporate political areas. And I believe that the Camden Project is going to bring that to the table, and I just wanted to show full support.
Thank you. Okay, next, whoever is ready. Okay. ¿Cómo se llama, señor?
Rubén Serna Frausto.
Okay.
Referente a las viviendas que existen, son muy caras y debemos de, perdón.
Regarding the existing housing, it is very expensive to live in this area.
Lo que necesitamos que haya un proyecto en que se construya más viviendas más apropiadas para nuestra gente.
It is necessary for additional housing be built for our people.
Y continuar pues el asunto de las casas que en realidad no se está construyendo debidamente, faltan muchas otras casas para la gente que hay.
And this seems to be an issue of supply of affordable housing and additional housing in our area.
Por ejemplo, los proyectos son pequeños en la cantidad de gente que vemos.
The projects are small when considered the number of people that are living in this area.
Por eso necesitamos apoyar un programa de construcción que sea más amplio, que se construya más viviendas para nuestra gente.
And we should encourage additional projects that will increase affordable housing in this area.
Y me parece que es lo correcto que empujemos una construcción más adecuada para nuestras ciudades.
And it seems reasonable that we encourage additional construction of for our city. And that's it.
Gracias.
That's it por ahora.
Okay.
Gracias.
That's it. Thank you. Gracias. Our last and final speaker.
Good evening. I'm Ron Beutner. I'm the president of ADCCLA and a resident and a homeowner at the R District. I would like to object to the approval of the plan as submitted by Camden. We have voted at ADCCLA unanimously against this program for two reasons. The first one is that it doesn't comply with the vision that we have about the R District. We are very much for development and pro-development, but we would like to keep the unique character of the R District intact. The other reason why we voted against it is that the project itself does not ask for many variants, and we would like to stick with the community zoning plan as we were working with the city planning commission and as we were working with the city departments to create a plan that will fit to the vision of the citizens of this part of town. So we're asking you respectfully to reject the plan as is and ask Camden to come back to the table and modify their construction to comply with the zoning laws and without any variance. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Juliana Rovat. I filled out a speaker card. My name is called.
Okay.
I support the Camden project. Last year, the city of Los Angeles grew by 50,000 people while adding only 12,000 housing units. More young people are moving to Los Angeles, but the pace of housing is not keeping up with this increase in population. At current rent rates, I will not be able to afford to live in Los Angeles when I graduate college in 2 years. As a young person living in Los Angeles, I urge you to support the Camden project. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, sir, we do not, you spoke already on the other items. You're not, you're not allowed to speak right
Everybody
now.
else violated the rules. I just want to know.
Sorry,
if I
sir.
can... Okay.
Sorry, sir.
I think you're a fat fuck. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we're going to ask you to please be escorted out of this meeting, please, for disrupting the meeting. Thank you very much. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for coming out today to comment on this project. My understanding is that there has been extensive public outreach and redesign efforts on this project over the years. A concern of mine is how well this project performs in terms of affordable housing contributions relative to other projects in the area. So I have a few questions for our staff, and that is, first, can you describe the design or programmatic changes to the proposed project since the application was first filed?
Sure, Michael Sin with planning staff. So the applicant has worked closely with planning staff from the very beginning. As a condition of initiating this general plan amendment, we asked for a number of project design features that are reflected in the project today. As such, we have not requested or seen any changes subsequent to the submittal of the application. But the project design features include the presence of the murals, the paseos, the higher floor-to-ceiling heights, as well as additional open space.
Okay. And can you explain why staff recommendations for affordable housing requirements on this project is lower than what we might see in other projects?
Sure. So to clarify, most of those projects that you're referencing were filed late in 2016, although they are in the vicinity of this project. So this project predates that by a number of years. They're also different projects. They are projects with higher FAR, additional density. This project is capped at 3:1, whereas some of those other projects that are proposing more affordable housing are at 6:1.
Okay, so the others have been higher, much more density, and so with higher FAR. This is a lower,
That's correct.
smaller project
Right, so this
overall.
one
It's
is
a
a
smaller
small
project
project.
overall. Okay, and I understand that the applicant has submitted some additional findings language to augment the staff recommended findings. Has the planning staff reviewed the material submitted by the applicant?
Yeah, that's correct. So late this morning, we did receive supplemental findings from the applicant. We have reviewed them, and we concur with the content of those findings, although we do ask to incorporate 3 of the changes that we noted previously.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for the applicant. One of the things we are all concerned about is the lack of affordable housing opportunities throughout the city and in the district. In this case, it's specific to, let me put it this way. I'd like to suggest that 5 additional workforce units be added to what was recommended by the City Planning Commission. Would that be amenable to the applicant?
If I could just check with my client.
Yeah,
Just one
okay.
second. Yes, Councilmember Weezer, that would be acceptable.
Okay, so that would bring the total to about, how many units?
The total affordable units, there are currently 18. We had proposed 5 workforce units. If we added 5, that would be 10 workforce units total, or 28 total affordable units, broken down 18 very low income and
Okay.
10 workforce.
So, and 18 very low income.
18
Yeah,
very low income,
okay,
that's correct.
okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you. Additionally, in light of the comments from the HCID staff today regarding the city's limitations on affordable housing requirements specific to artists, I'd like to include a couple additional substantive requirements as part of the conditions of approval. 1, the applicant shall provide, to the extent permissible by law, a leasing preference for artists with respect to any restricted affordable units and all live-work units within the project. 2, the applicant shall implement an affirmative marketing program for artists that will include the designation of an artist affordable housing outreach coordinator, whose primary function will be to coordinate with 1 or more artist-oriented nonprofit organizations for the purposes of establishing and maintaining the affirmative marketing program as part of the leasing operations for the project. Well, let me ask the applicant, do you think those are feasible? Do you foresee any problems with that?
Once again, for the record, Dale Goldsmith, Councilmember Weezer, as I mentioned in my initial presentation, initial remarks, we would like to be able to offer a preference. We would like to work with the city. I think your suggestions are excellent and a great start, and we would embrace them wholly.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So thank you. With that, I move to approve the project, including the additional conditions of approval as I've stated, and to include the revised findings as recommended by the Planning Department. So, Mr. Mejia, you have those?
Councilman Ruizar, May with City Planning.
Yes.
We would just like to make one recommendation to the proposed condition, is to add additional language to ensure the compliance that prior to certificate of occupancy, the applicant submit a plan indicating their outreach program.
Okay, let's add that language as well.
So, just to be clear, as to the appeals, Councilman, there's 2 appeals.
So on that, let's, the recommended changes I made, the 5 additional work units, the preference for artists with respect to affordable units and as permissible by law, and the affirmative marketing, the findings submitted by the applicant, and the motion by, the suggested language by the Planning Department, we are incorporating that into a motion that will move to grant the appeal filed by Dale Goldsmith on behalf of Ben Brousseau, and thereby approve the Sustainable Communities Environmental Assessment and Site Plan Review for the project, subject to the modified conditions of approval, and sustain the determination of CBC in approving the General Plan Amendment Resolution Zone and Height District change. And we will deny the appeal by John Given on behalf of Yuval Bar Zimmer and the Arts District Community Council, and thereby sustain the entire Planning Commission determination in approving a vesting tentative tract map and adoption of the mitigated negative declaration for the project.
Okay, so in totality, since there's 2, one was granted, one was denied. It's a
Yes.
grant in part, denied in part.
Grant in part and deny in part, to use a term of art in
And-
this committee as to
And
how we do
I
things.
believe, Councilman, there's also a report from planning with modified findings dated November 17th. That's already uploaded into the record.
Okay, that's part of the record, yes.
And also, we need to adopt
Goldsmith,
the
one second,
MND.
Mr. Goldsmith.
Just had a question. Those two minor technical changes that I had suggested in my letter, I didn't quite hear that. I wasn't sure if that was part of your action.
Yes, it is. We'll incorporate those.
Yeah, Mr. Goldsmith's requests were reflected in a letter number 1, letter number 2, as to Q condition 12. I think it's as to the hours of operation and additional findings.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions or comments on this? Any objection to the motion? Seeing none, so ordered. Thank you very much. Item number 11, please.
Item 11, Councilman, this is an appeal filed by Steve O. Yonsek. This is an appeal that relates to corrective conditions as to the operation of a liquor store, the liquor bank located in CD 8.
Okay.
Council members, Adrian Corsani, City Attorney's Office, just to draw your attention to a letter that was received yesterday evening from the bankruptcy attorney representing the appellant. They have obtained a federal stay on the matter related to their bankruptcy filing, which could have implications on this proceeding. Therefore, our office recommends continuing this matter for a week so we can look into this. However, it's obviously at the discretion of the committee.
Okay. Well, what we will do now is get a presentation from staff and then turn it over to Council District 8, Mr. Harris Dawson, and hear public comment, and we'll move from there. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Alita James, Associate Zoning Administrator for the Department of City Planning, here with Linda Smith, City Planner for the Nuisance Abatement Revocations Unit. Again, this appeal is by the business owner-operator, Mr. Steve O., who is appealing in part the Plan Approval 2, Condition Number 1 and Number 3, specifically. Condition Number 1 of the Plan Approval 2 requires that the applicant file a plan approval application no later than 90 days from the effective date of the zoning administrator's action, which would allow for a review of the effectiveness of the effectiveness in implementing the conditions established and to determine whether or not the public nuisance problems identified have been eliminated. The appellant contends that the Plan Approval 2 acknowledges the applicant's operation was found to be in substantial conformance and therefore no future plan approval is warranted. Condition number 3 of the Plan Approval 2 limits the hours of operation of the store from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. daily. The applicant also contends that there is no evidence in the record to support the zoning administrator's restriction on operating the store from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. Their current operations, they close at 10 p.m. A little history on the site. The first imposition of conditions was established in March of 2010, where the zoning administrator determined that a public nuisance had been established and had been occurring and established corrective conditions. These nuisance activities included but were not limited to disturbance of the peace, illegal drug activity, harassment of passerby, public intoxication, urination, and theft. The owner-operator was required at that time to file a plan approval within 12 months to check for the condition compliance. That occurred, and a first review of conditions, the applicant was found to be in partial compliance with the required conditions. At that time, they were required to come back in 6 months to check for condition compliance, and that brings us to the current filing under the PA2, whereby the zoning administrator did determine that the liquor bank operated in substantial conformance. Just background also noted that the ZEMIS notes that the last change of ownership for the property was March 31st of 2014, And according to the testimony by Mr. O, which he acquired the business July 24th of 2013. The public hearing that was held by the zoning administrator under the plan approval 2 review was for a condition and compliance check. At that time, it did include the applicant did submit a petition with 332 signatures in support of the operation of the liquor store. However, there were some letters in opposition which cited the continued use of the liquor store, citing problems with littering, loitering, lack of property maintenance, limited on-site parking, and drinking in public. Also received to the case file were documented reports of calls of service from LAPD. Los Angeles Police Department did submit a letter that was dated April 21st of 2017 in the file, acknowledging that the site had operating conditions for almost 8 years, and for most of that time that was warranted, and the business still has some criminal activity in and around the area. However, in reviewing the revocation conditions and comparing the crime stats and calls for service, there has been substantial improvements and reduction in the numbers reported. Also acknowledged by LAPD was recommending that, that the operating hours, the reduction in operating hours would benefit the operator by reducing the security, thereby offering a reduction in the monetary operating costs. And additionally, it would also allow LAPD access to real-time via videos for on-site, and that would work towards deterring criminal activity. At the close of the public hearing, the zoning administrator did weigh the evidence and thereby concluded that the operation had obtained substantial but not full condition compliance, and that was based upon, again, the following. Staff had visited the site and provided us with a condition compliance review. And just in summary, the operator was found at that time to be out of compliance with 11 of the 28 established corrective conditions. And just for the record, I will just say the number of conditions that were not in compliance. Condition number 1, number 3, number 5, number 11, number 13, number 14, number 15, number 17, number 18, number 22, and number 24. Noting this, some of these conditions were in partial compliance, but of these 11 conditions, there were actually 4 that were not in compliance. And to highlight those were condition number 15, which signs were to be posted in the parking lot, allowing the customers no more than 10 minutes for parking. The applicant actually had a sign that's posted allowing 15 minutes for customer parking. Condition number 17 regarding access to the alleyway was a requirement that back gate be locked and closed at all times. They were in violation of that condition. And condition number 22, reimbursement of fees for the initial imposition of conditions, which was a fee due of $3,194, which to date has not been recovered or paid. And I do want to go back, condition number 13 was not in compliance, and that was the applicant was required to keep a daily, for security purposes, a daily log of all activities on the site, and that had not been maintained. Although none of these complaint issues can actually be viewed as directly contributing to the increased nuisance activity, they are required conditions which are necessary in order for the business to obtain a status of full compliance and can be easily addressed and corrected. With this in mind, the operator was given 90 days to make the necessary corrections and to file a condition compliance review. Additionally, the hours of operation have been modified to change the time of closing from 10 p.m. to 10 p.m. till 8 p.m. The purpose of the reduction in hours is to support the operator's speedy and full compliance with the imposed conditions. At this time, the testimony and evidence that was before the zoning administrator did not support that level of nuisance which warrants the revocation of the use of the site as a liquor store. Therefore, the conditions were retained, and it was understood that once the full compliance is achieved and a status of non-nuisance, the operator could request an expansion in the hours or elimination of the conditions through a modification process. Therefore, with that, staff would recommend that the council deny the appeal and sustain the zoning administrator's approval. Available for any questions.
Thank you. We'll go to public comment. First is Michael Gonzalez, the applicant. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. Thank you for your time this evening. This is not a glamorous use. I think we can all agree to that. But it is a use that has existed on this property for over 30 years. This applicant does have vested property rights and would require substantial evidence to revoke the land use. We concur with the zoning administrator that the record does not contain that evidence. The findings required for a revocation can't be made because there would have to find that there's been no impairment of constitutional rights, and in this case, there could be. As mentioned by the zoning administrator, there has been substantial compliance. This is an area in transition. This is an area with a bus stop that is problematic. It's been cited in a couple of hearings as a source of some of the issues, and it's difficult for the security officers to remove people from the public right-of-way. And in fact, we've had conversations with LAPD about how to address that problem. One solution we came up with during the last round of hearings, which I hope is helping keep or police the area, is access to the applicant's closed-circuit television cameras on the outside of the perimeter of the building. That helps keep eyes on the street while the cameras are running. And PD can access that, is my understanding, is what was agreed to as during the last revocation proceeding. Secondly, I was just alerted Friday evening that the applicant's bankruptcy matter might have some pending on this. My understanding from the bankruptcy attorney, who cannot be here today, he's in New Jersey until after the holiday, is that the revocation could negatively impact the value of the bankruptcy estate, and that is something that is before the bankruptcy court in determining how the operating business will either reorganize, sell, or do something to satisfy its creditors. That is something that I did alert the city attorney to yesterday in the letter to the clerk. It was brought to my attention late Friday evening. I'm not a bankruptcy expert and didn't have a chance to speak to the bankruptcy attorney until Monday morning to really understand what the issues were. In discussing that with the bankruptcy attorney, the appeal up or down does not impact the value of the estate one way or another. It's the potential to lose that right that could potentially take away the value that would fly against the rules of the federal stay. We would also posit that if there's any new testimony today, we would need a right to cross-examine, because this is a potential to take rights away. We would encourage a remand to the zoning administrator to have a chance to cross-examine any possible new testimony. I think you'll see letters in the file that are asking for revocation. We don't believe that the legal standards for that have been met. There is no evidence in the record to support that, as concurred with by the ZA. So we would encourage the council to make a decision up or down on the appeal itself. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start off with, we have someone from LAPD here, Mr. Livingston. In the center here, can you move to one side so I can see the clock? But there's no time limit for LAPD on this. Welcome.
How you doing, Council?
Good.
Good. I just want to go back. I'm work Los Angeles Police Department, Detective Sport Device Division. I work the abatement unit. I just want to go over the liquor bank. It's been operating conditions for approximately 8 years. Back in 2013, we met with Mr. O. We gave him a list of suggested improvements on how to correct a lot of the nuisance activity and the criminal activity that was occurring in the area. Back in 2015, Mr. O was very uncooperative with the compliance and conditions that we gave him. He was cited for numerous condition use permits, for trash, debris, no guard at the time, a lot of drinking activity adjacent to the liquor store, and appropriate signs, the legal vending. At the time, too, his store operators have not received ABC training for STAR. We went back in July 2016, we went with planning, and again, he was cited for numerous CUP violations for age verification, which was listed in his conditions, not having the proper security guards there, no signs in English or Spanish. At the time, we was doing an inspection, we observed individuals urinating in public, and then at the time, we also advised him about the rover and security. January 17th, Mr. O and council invited us to come over to go over the changes that they made to this the property. The asphalt, the lock in the back gate, the new cameras, which was going to be connected with the Los Angeles Police Department. We did at the time see a lot of corrections and changes at the time, and at the same time, we also noticed that the calls for service had decreased of April, so we sent a letter and modifying some of the things, and also advised them of some of the decrease of the criminal activity. But due to that, in April 2017, we saw an incline again with the calls for service, and the activity was occurring. So at that time, he wasn't 100% in compliance with the activity and the nuisance activity that was occurring in the area. Things that we saw, it was an ADW stabbing, vehicles, windows being smashed, about 5 numerous indecent exposures that was occurring at the property. And knowing that, too, we conducted another calls for service. We saw it was 27 calls of service at the property and 155 calls in the intersection, which at the time we also noticed that, not thinking all the calls came from the intersection, but it was due to some of the activity was being, percentage of that was contributing from the liquor bank. Also, in speaking to Southwest, the senior leads, the officers in the area, and also some of the community members, we also talked about a great deal of the loitering was still occurring, the day and evening hours of operating. The trash was still pretty heavy, the alcohol containers, the nuisance behaviors, harassment of passerbyers, disturbance of the peace, again, the consumption of alcohol sales and use of marijuana, and a disruptive behavior that was literally spills into the streets of ongoing traffic that was adjacent to the things. So again, I met with Southwest Vice, the senior leads, the officers, and they advised me to have a footbeat unit there. And they all talked about the liquor bank still jeopardizing and endangers the public health and safety of the persons residing and working around in the area and the liquor store. And they still feel it's a threat to the community and the quality of life.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your service. Mohidin Chowdhury. Raquel Willis or William or Willen. Aaron Morrow. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, hi, how are you? Sir, my name is Mohidin Chowdhury. I'm the security company PPO. So I have almost 4 or 5 people working there. So now I hear is you guys is cutting his hour. So that means is technically you guys cutting my hour too, because it's people working 8 hours shift. So now if you guys close to 8 o'clock, that means is my security officer, they're going to be work for 6 hours. So now holiday season and is technically, and so many people, they don't have a job in the city of Los Angeles and county of Los Angeles. I'm providing for service to door, and my security guys working there long time, like 4 or 5 years. So we don't have any problem. Even is no police call either. So we are doing there is very nicely and clean, and no prostitute, no drug selling there, and our officer is very experienced and they're doing good job.
Thank you very much,
I'm
sir.
supporting to him, so please help him and help us.
Okay.
So our officer going to be in good condition. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Reginald William or Willis? No? Aaron Morrow? No? Lawrence Green? Larry Johannesson, after Larry Lawrence Green. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, Lawrence Green. I've been going to liquor bank for 4 years, and I can't see how you people up there can blame liquor bank for what people doing on the street. They're urinating from King all the way to Florence, and that liquor bank's well too. And LAPD's always likes to put the blame on other people too. They're not doing their job. If other people are doing stuff on the street, that's their job, not liquor banks. If somebody comes to my house and they go do something on the sidewalk, should I get evicted? That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Lori or Larry? Lori Johannesson. Carmen Nava. Rosa Perez. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Lori Johansson. My family's been in Baldwin Hills Estate since 1957, and we've witnessed firsthand the decline in the quality of businesses in our neighborhood as there is a fledgling reboot of recovering along the Crenshaw corridor. This has become increasingly clear that the focus of the liquor bank is at odds with the standards that our community should expect. They've not been set good standards of the property and have not shown a willingness to address the blight caused by the loiterers in their parking lot, nor have they been willing to keep their surrounding area free of trash. The term liquor store is inconsistent with this business. They sell mostly single-serve hard liquor bottles, and their repeated disregard for the regulations that is cause for their closure. I had when I was filling out my comment card on the way in here, a man came up to me and said, "Oh, are you here to talk about the liquor bank?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "I'll take your card," and he put it in his bag, and I got a little suspicious and went up to him and said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I am the general manager of the liquor bank." And I said, "May I have my card back?" It felt as though he had nefarious intentions, and I was shocked. So that just goes to the quality of people that we're dealing with at this business. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Carmen Nava, Rosa Perez. ¿Habla español?
Yes.
Sí. Can we get our translator here, please? Thank you.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Carmen Nava y estoy aquí porque estamos del asunto de la licor.
Good evening. My name is Carmen Nava, and I am here to speak for the liquor store.
So, yo pues prácticamente quiero decir que a mí esa licor se me hace más que nada una marqueta porque a mí me sirve mucho porque los niños van a comprarlo.
More than a liquor store, this establishment provides a grocery service.
Y pues nunca he visto que haya habido un problema, siempre ha estado tranquila.
And also, there are children who also go buy products at these establishments, and she has not seen any nuisance coming from this liquor store.
Se me hace más práctico comprar algo rápido como leche, huevo, tortillas y que era una marqueta grande.
It provides a service by offering milk, eggs, rather than going to a larger supermarket.
Y pues mis niños que compran ice cream, chips también.
And my children also purchase ice cream and potato chips.
Okay, es todo.
That's it.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias. Rosa Perez, don't go too far, sir.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Rosa Pérez.
Good evening, her name is Rosa Perez.
Yo trabajo en la licor y por eso estoy acá.
She's an employee of the liquor store, and that's the reason why she's here.
Primero porque es una fuente de trabajo para los que estamos en ese lugar trabajando.
Primarily because this establishment provide employment for us.
Y segundo, yo nunca he visto en lo que yo llevo de estar trabajando en ese lugar algún problema.
And for as long as I have been working on this establishment, I have not seen any problem.
Lo veo a las personas que llegan con sus niños a comprar golosinas para ellos, como lo mismo como dijo la señora, llegan a comprar su leche y llegan a comprar cosas comestibles para la familia.
There are children also going to the store purchasing various items to eat, and
Nunca,
go ahead.
nunca he visto un problema en el parking. Las personas llegan a comprar, estacionan su carro, se les despacha y se retiran.
I have never seen an issue. The people that go and purchase products, they park, they go and purchase whatever items they have to purchase, and they leave the premises.
Si pasan problemas en lo que se respecta a la calle, es la calle, pero no la licor.
There might be problems relating on the street, but not necessarily on the liquor store.
No sé por qué lo relacionan, pero adentro nunca ha habido un problema en el año que yo tengo de estar trabajando.
I don't know what is the relationship between the nuisance and the problems, but for the last year, since I have been working there, I have not seen any problems associated with the liquor store.
Entran niños y adultos y nunca ha pasado nada.
There are, we offer services to children and adults, and nothing has happened.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias. Try to make this name out. It says H. Kurth or Keith Renty. Rihanna Caltius. Jennifer Castillo. David Thomas. And something Cash. Greg Cash.
Hello, I'm H. Keith Renty. I'm a 55-year resident of Baldwin Hills Community and president of the Baldwin Hills HOA. I'm here really as a resident. And I remember when the liquor bank was open many, many years ago, and it was a pinnacle of the community and of Los Angeles because they had a wide selection of varietal wines and various high-end libations. For the last 20 years, I haven't been in the store because of the decline. And so I am here to support the revocation of their license because it is a place that most of us do not want to go because of the crime, because of the unsavory characters that are there. It is not a safe place to go. I have not been in there for 20 years. They used to have a high-end delicatessen where people stood in line, but it has declined. Most of us are now willing to drive to Culver City, to Torrance, to buy our liquor, and it's a shame that it couldn't have sustained its level. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brianna Kaltais. I serve on the board of directors for the Baldwin Hills Homeowners Association, but I am here today as a resident. I believe that the liquor bank is a blight on our community. It doesn't align with the future improvements of our neighborhood. Police resources are being wasted on this business. I don't feel safe walking past this business, and I certainly don't feel safe walking into this business. Thank you so much, and I hope you take our concerns into consideration.
Thank you.
My name is David Thomas, and I work at the liquor bank for a whole year, and I worked there for a whole year. I'm the one who clean the yard and close the trash. I'm the one who close the gate, so I don't see no crime over there. You know, so I've been working there for a whole year, and everything over there is like, it's all right to me. And I pay my bills from over there, and do everything from over there. So if I lose the job, the liquor store closed, I'm out of a job. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
How you doing? My name is Greg Cash. I'm a security officer at the liquor store. I've been there for over 2 years. I've seen some drastic improvements in the liquor store. There's been no problems there. The place is really cleaned up. There is no trash in there. The place is constantly being swept. I sweep the parking lot constantly during the daytime. I work there 7 days a week, so I'm there. I see what goes on there. This store is more than a liquor store, like the people said. This is it serves people as a grocery store as well as a liquor store. They don't just come there for liquor. Children come there. All people from all walks of life come there. The place has been totally turned around. It is more than a liquor store. This place has been cleaned up. There's no actual any violence in the liquor bank. All of that's outside on the streets. It's not at the liquor store. And that's all I have to say. It's not at the store.
Thank you. I believe that concludes. What's your name, sir?
Terry Scott?
Did you fill out a card?
Yes, I did.
Okay, go right ahead. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Terry Scott. I've worked in the area for the past 12 years, and I echo the same sentiments that a couple of the people had just mentioned. When I drive by the liquor bank, I've been in there several times myself. They sell produce, poultry, milk. It's just not liquor. And most of the problems that I do see are on the perimeter, on the outside of the liquor bank. The security guards that I see are doing a good job. They keep the people from coming inside and hanging around in front of the door. But most of the problems that you see are right there on Crenshaw and Stocker Street, not on the premises. It is not just a liquor store. It's a mini market. In essence, it's almost like a 7-Eleven. So many of the people in that area don't have cars. They want to close it at 8 o'clock. A lot of the people can walk from their residence and just walk right there. And like I said, it's not just about liquor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sure.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Castillo.
Okay.
I just wanted to add on to what everyone else was saying, that the liquor bank really isn't just a liquor, like where they sell just liquor. It's really where I go almost every once in a while with my little brothers, and I like really trust the liquor store with my little brothers. Sometimes I let them go sometimes inside right there to buy what they like, and it's really a good, safe place. I just wanted to say that it's a really good place, and you really shouldn't close it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Harris-Dawson?
So much, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the staff who has been in one way or another monitoring this business and providing documentations for at least 15 years by our count, or from the records that we had access to reviewing this case. We also want to thank the men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department. Almost every time I get a report from Southwest Division, folks have had various encounters in or around this particular business. Folks have kept good records, made good reports to both the residents and the council office and to this committee today. And so we thank you for that, as well as all the residents of the area that came by, folks who live, work, or play around the Crenshaw district and have seen the liquor bank be a part of our community for a couple of generations now. This has been a very, very long struggle with the community, as you saw by the report from staff. Complaints are raised, conditions are put on, the conditions are met, kind of, and the conditions improve, kind of, and then there's a peel back, and then the conditions worsen again, and we get new conditions, and those are kind of done, or substantially, I think is the word that is used. The word that's never was used in relation to compliance was complete compliance, and conditions fluctuate. And all the time conditions fluctuate, the community pays an extremely high price. We have in the city well-documented, very scarce police resources. So every time a police officer gets called to anything having to do with the store, that means that's something else that they can't do. Just in the third and fourth quarter alone, we're at 55 calls, according to the Los Angeles Police Department. And so that's a significant drain on the resources for the community. This is not to mention the people that are actually harassed, intimidated, or actually physically hurt, either trying to use the intersection, which is a public right-of-way, much less trying to use the actual facility. This facility is kept in a way, and has been kept in a way over the years, in a way that demeans the people and the quality of life in the community, as many residents pointed out early. Going so far as to allow the location to be used in a television show called Hood Adjacent as an example of ghetto conditions. They start off the show in the parking lot of the liquor bank, presumably with the permission of the liquor bank, and film there and talk about how horrible and how challenging it is to live in a community like this. And so the community has paid an extremely high price and continues to pay an extremely high price, and there doesn't seem to be any end in sight. Conditions are imposed, conditions aren't met, conditions are pulled back on, and our quality of life recedes and suffers as a result. So I request that we deny the appeal and revoke the conditional use permit to sell alcohol at this location. I do note the new information that we got regarding bankruptcy. It is my judgment as the people's representative that this establishment's self-proclaimed inability to meet its financial obligations do not absolve us as the city providing for the public safety and general welfare of the citizens of the 8th District and the surrounding areas.
Thank you very much. So there's been a motion made. We'll second that.
Council members, Adrian Corsani, City Attorney's Office, in order to just make sure that we meet the evidentiary requirements of the code for that motion for revocation, there are two findings that need to be made. A, prior governmental efforts to cause the owner or operator to eliminate the problems associated with the land use or discretionary zoning approval have failed, and evidence supporting that. And the second one is that the owner or operator has failed to demonstrate to the satisfaction of the city the willingness or ability to eliminate the problems associated with the land use or discretionary zoning approval. So for purposes of the record, if you could just summarize what you just did in light of those findings, and restate your motion.
In light of the long history that was well documented by staff of the city's investment in resources to document the problems, make suggestions, and in fact make requirements to improve the conditions at the business, which at every count the business failed to completely comply with, given that the conditions that are the subject of this discussion fluctuate but persist, I move that we revoke the conditional use permit to sell alcohol.
Okay. Seconded by Mr. Price. Any further questions or comments? No. Okay, so any objections? Seeing no objections to that motion, so ordered. Thank you very much. Item number 7.
Item 7, Councilman, this is
Whoa.
This is a report from the Planning Commission. It's a draft ordinance for a vesting zone change and a high district change for new commercial and a hotel use in CD12.
Mr. Englander.
Okay, thank you very much. In light of the late hour, I don't know that we need an overview. Pretty familiar with it. I know all my colleagues are as well, because it was agendized correctly, so thank you for that. So with that, I just have one additional Q condition that I'd like to read in the record, and that the applicant suggested, in fact, and that's they shall remit funds to be deposited in the Northwest Valley Project Mitigation Fund, that's fund number 56P-14, in the amount specified with 30 days of the respective benchmarks as follows. Excuse me, A, $25,000 upon issuance of the building permits for Building 1, Building 6, and Building 7 as identified in approved site plan. B, $25,000 upon issuance of their certificates of occupancy for buildings 1, 6, and 7 as identified in the approved site plan, and then C, the $25,000 upon issuance of certificate of occupancy for building 4 as identified in the approved site plan. I also want to thank the applicant as well as their representatives who really did an outstanding job in working with the community and my office. There was support across the board on this, but more importantly, they came in with support from the community and the neighborhood council respectively, and we further made modifications which took quite some time upon just things that I've seen what the community wanted differently, and they were more than willing and ready and able to work with us, and I truly appreciate it. I know we had a big agenda tonight, and they've been sitting here. Probably could have gotten it done a lot earlier, but their representative told me that he was getting paid by the hour. We should put it off. The holidays are coming. He's got kids in college, and so single out Brad Rosenheim on that remark. In any event, I ask for your support and your aye vote on this as well. Thank you so much.
Mr. Brad Rosenheim, do you wish to speak, or are you waiving your right to speak? You want to?
Got one more semester.
He wants to speak to extend the 15-minute billing as an attorney.
Well, I just have a very brief comment. Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank staff and the councilman. In our meetings with the councilman, he had made some very good suggestions or subtle changes to the site plan. And we've introduced a letter dated November 16th, with an attachment for some minor modifications to the wording that acknowledges the changes to the site plan that have been made in consultation with the council office. So I would just ask that those changes be adopted as well. Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving.
Great, thank you. First person today to wish us a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. Well, we're getting closer. We might be here too. But, we got a turkey cooking in the back oven. Thank you very much. So any other questions or comments? No. We will move Ms. Jengler's motion, and does that incorporate some of the items that the applicant brought up right now?
Yeah, we want to make sure that includes the modified conditions as well.
Okay. So we'll second that. Any objections? Seeing none, so ordered. God, we could have done this in the beginning of the meeting.
Could have, but Brad asked that we hold it.
Item number 3.
Item 3, Councilman, the city attorney prepare ordinance to make changes to the existing historic cultural monument ordinance in the city.
Good evening, council members. Ken Bernstein with Department of City Planning. We are back with the proposed final ordinance. This item was heard previously by the committee in April, and it is an ordinance that would improve the processing of historic cultural monument nominations, and in particular enhance due process for property owners. The main change that the ordinance would make would be to provide earlier notification to property owners of the historic cultural monument nomination process. Currently, property owners are only notified of a nomination after the Cultural Heritage Commission holds an initial hearing to take a nomination under consideration. Many property owners feel blindsided that they were not able to participate in an initial hearing on their own property. So the proposed amendments would provide for earlier notification of property owners once a historic cultural monument nomination is deemed complete. And that is tied to the period of stay on demolition or alterations, so that would occur at the time that the nomination is deemed complete. The ordinance would also allow for property owners to request up to a 60-day extension to allow for additional time to respond to a nomination, particularly in situations where a nomination comes in without the consent of a property owner. That is solely at the discretion of the property owner to request that additional time, and is limited to no more than 60 days. And finally, The proposed ordinance demarcates the designation criteria that are currently really in one long set of clauses linked by semicolons. We do not believe the proposed amendment makes substantive changes to the designation criteria, but is meant to break them out in a way that more clearly parallels the criteria for the National Register of Historic Places and California Register of Historic Resources. I'm happy to answer any questions, and the city attorney does have a technical correction to add as well.
Adrian Corsani, City Attorney's Office. After speaking with planning, we understood there were 2 corrections that needed to be made, and so if the committee would request us to transmit that corrected ordinance to the clerk, we can proceed with that, and that the final can be prepared for council. The first is the insertion of the word director or before commission at the end of the second sentence in paragraph 22-171-10E, so that it reads that the time limit may be extended by mutual consent of the applicant and the director or commission. And the second one is a typographical error that indicated that notices had to be provided. It is a single notice in paragraph 22-171-10D3.
Thank you very much. Just a quick clarification on the timeline. You covered this and the process for the Cultural Heritage Commission to act. The language indicates that 30 days to schedule a hearing may be extended by mutual agreement of applicant and commission. Is there a limit on that extension?
You're referring to the initial.
Yeah, section 22.171.9E1.
The time may be extended. This is the extension for up to an additional 60 days.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you. This is long overdue, so the earlier notification to the property owner is certainly going to make a difference. I had some serious reservation and concern over the holdup of any possible demo stuff, but I appreciate you already talked to Hannah, you talked to my staff, worked out all the questions I already had. So, Ken, thank you, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, and so the timeline, so we want to make sure that timeline cannot be extended indefinitely by the applicant. Would it be a problem if we move to include that mutual consent also be required from the property owner?
Are you, okay, this is back in E1?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so if there's a timeline, just so I understand what you're asking, if there's a timeline extension request by the person who's applying for the designation.
Yeah, we need the...
you need the consent by the property. I'll second that.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, we'll make that in the motion. Okay, that's fine. We got it. We'll make that amendment. Daniel Friedman, Laura Myers,
Mr. Chair.
Joanne. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just had a quick question as well.
Okay, go right ahead.
In step 3, it says, additionally, the owner of record of the property shall be notified forthwith in writing. Does forthwith have a definition?
Forthwith means very speedily, typically, and we typically turn those around in a matter of a day or two. I don't know if the city attorney has a more legal definition, but forthwith is very fast.
For council, there is a meeting because of the way that it's defined under the council rules. Here it does just mean the common understanding of it, which is expeditiously.
Yeah, I don't know if it would make, if the ambiguity of the term somehow could cause a problem. Would it make more sense to have a time? I mean, forthwith, fortnight, I don't know, 4 days, something with an F. But something so that it's defined so that it doesn't, we don't end up in a situation where the applicant gets notified late and then the hearing's already scheduled and then we get sued and then the question is what is forthwith, and my sense is it would make more sense to put in a safe actual timeline. Is there any reason why we shouldn't do that?
I think we're open to that. I think a reasonable number of days, perhaps 10 days, perhaps a fortnight, as you said, 2 weeks. Again, typically we are notifying forthwith more speedily than
right.
that. But
you want to pick a date that you'll have a much you want to still turn around very fast, but I would ask that we put in an actual number of days to avoid the ambiguity and what could be liability.
10 days?
10 days?
That's reasonable.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so I move that we change forthwith to 10 days.
Okay. All righty. Daniel Friedman, Laura Myers, Joanne Dangalanan, Marcelo Bavallo. Welcome.
Hi, good evening, council members. I'm here because I have a lot of concerns over this ordinance, and Councilmember Bloomfield, you're hitting it right on the head, and I think we have some major problems that I really recommend that you look into further before moving this forward. I'm not opposed to historic preservation. I'm supportive of due process. I think people should get notice before the city takes actions on their rights to use their property, and under the way this ordinance is working, people are going to have stays on their property that they won't even know about. You could sell your property within 10 days, you could go pull permits, you're going to go demo your house, or you're going to go do a remodel, or you're going to sell it, and then you find out 5 days later that there's been a stay put on your property. The implications are enormous here, and I think it's risky for the city to be pushing this forward. I think the timeline is also far too long. I think there's no reason why the city can't process these types of applications in 180 days. Why do we need up to 330 days, which is the way I calculated it? I also think we need to deal with the effect of a deemed denial. I'll conclude my points. I have had
So just to jump in, I know your time's up, but I just wanted to jump in because I had a lot of the same reservations, and I know we can't have a discussion. And that's when they walked me through it. I mean, this really cleans up the idea. And this is not a discussion. So your time is up, so we can't. But we had the same sort of reservations, and nothing's really, what's changed is the improvement. I mean, all of those things and everything you stated could already have been done, period. And I think that's the part that, with all due respect, you're not getting, because I know you talked to my staff about it either earlier. But so they could already do that. The biggest problem with this is that property owners weren't even notified when it was filed, and that's essentially what this is fixing. And I think with Councilmember Huizar's amendment that it can't even be extended until the stay is issued, they can still demo, they can still sell, all those things can be done. So anyway, but those are the concerns I had too. But Ken, you cleared those up, so I appreciate it. You can't rebuttal, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
There's still no notification at
Again, you can't rebuttal, but thank you. It's not. Your time is up.
Laura Myers. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Joanne Dungannon with Central City Association. CCA has some concerns about the latest draft of the ordinance. We kindly request a continuance in order to assess circumstances that could cause indefinite delay of a project, particularly the prospect of the nomination process taking up to about 300 days, plus additional unlimited extensions allowable for a consideration hearing. And thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Bernstein.
Happy to address those points. The ordinance changes do not extend the time period in most circumstances for historic cultural monument nominations. The only extension of a time period beyond the 180 days would be at the request of a property owner themselves who would like to have additional time to respond to, let's say, a third-party nomination. That option is not afforded to them today, and we've heard from many property owners who feel unprepared to respond in the limited time period that they have. And so typically this will play out, maximum of 75 days before the Cultural Heritage Commission, maximum of 90 days for Plum and Council to act. Wouldn't extend beyond that unless a property owner themselves requests additional time. So I think that's an important point. And as Mr. Englander indicated, this is not changing the process for notification of owners, that what could happen in between the time that a stay goes into effect and the time they get notified. It just pushes all of that earlier in the process so owners can participate every step of the way. But that time period and the potential for owners not to find out immediately is the same in the ordinance today.
Okay. All righty. So with that, we'll move to approve the city attorney prepared ordinance with the following, with the amendment to 22.171.931 that the time limit to take a proposed designation under consideration may be extended by mutual consent of the applicant, the property owner, and the commission. Second, we will incorporate the two city attorney technical amendments. We will include the Mr. Blumenfield's 10-day replacement of the forthwith language. Anything else? I think that was it. Okay, so with that, any objections? Seeing no objections, so ordered. Thank you. Next item, number 4, our last and final item is, call that to order, please.
Sure. Item 4, Councilman, is a City Planning Commission recommended proposed ordinance relative to bicycle parking ratios and bicycle parking regulations.
Thank you.
Real
brief.
Real brief, okay.
Real brief.
Good evening, Phyllis Nathanson with the Planning Department. I'm here with Neil Huffman, project manager on this. Planning Department has prepared an ordinance to update the bicycle parking requirements. Very briefly, the amendments provide greater clarity and flexibility and address quantity, location, and design aspects. And Planning Department transmitted a letter November 2nd with some additional changes to further reduce parking requirements for senior and elder care projects, which codifies the current zoning code manual interpretation for certain senior facilities, and also would include additional senior facilities. And finally, the original ordinance contained a definition for bus station, and we are requesting that that definition be changed to refer to major transit stop, and that would be in keeping with the transit-oriented communities housing incentive program definition.
Great, thank you. And there's a need to make some adjustments to increase flexibility in design and function, it seems. I think we're headed in the right direction. I've circulated some proposed amendments as well, which include a tiering system for residential uses that decreases the required minimum ratio for both short-term and long-term, allowing long-term parking to be located on each residential floor at a minimum ratio of 1 space per 2 units instead of a 1-to-1 ratio. Adjustments in where short-term parking can be located within a project. Alternative compliance by director's authority be extended to include siting requirements in addition to design standards. So with that, any questions or comments? No? So we'll move to approve the ordinance as amended and refer to the city attorney for form and legality review as suggested.
With your amendments.
With the amendments, yep. Any objections? Seeing none, so ordered. Thank you. Public comment. Yes, sir.
Councilman, there's a letter from the applicant for an extension of time to act on item number 10. And the request is that the time extension be through January 30th, 2018.
Okay, so we will reconsider item number 10, where we voted to continue it to November 28th, and instead to do time
Extension.
Time extension to when?
To January 30th, 2018.
Okay. We'll take that action on item number 10. So ordered. Public comment, Jorge Lupercio, Matthew Saldena, Zach Strasters, Herman Wayne. See none. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Happy Valley Day.